This national speaker is a good friend of mine. He was just named for Swan Poll's top 200 most influential real estate professionals in the world. He is a recipient of the 30 Under 30 Realtor Award. Today you guys are going to hear stuff that you might think, well, we're in Putnam, we're in Westchester, I'm in Orange, I'm in Connecticut. Can't work here. Jared thinks outside the box. And what I ask you to start doing, if you want a better life, a better business, start thinking outside the box. So it is with amazing pride and pleasure to bring national speaker to you guys, good friend of mine, Jared James.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Good morning. I'm actually excited to be here today, guys, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I live like an hour from here, so this is kind of cool for me. I forgot until yesterday that this was going on because there was no flight notification that came up. But this is really cool for me because when you have an audience like this, you can do things a little bit different. I know in the beginning they joked we don't have to go to Vegas. Hopefully you still will. I'll be at R4, so hopefully I'll see you guys there. But at the same time, this is a little bit different. Like I can see all of you, we can interact, I can ad-lib a whole bunch, and I enjoy that, okay? So that is, for those of you, how many of you have no familiarity with me at all? Like this is first time, or you've never heard of me, you've never watched it. Okay, that hurt just a little, but we'll get over that. For those of you real quick, guys, I'm not going to do a very long intro because I want to use as much time as I can today to actually, help you have some kind of a difference, right? How many of you want to run better businesses? You want to make more money? You want to be able to scale? Like how many of you say that's you, right? Okay, so here's the good news. I'm not one of these people that just basically, watched a YouTube video or read a book and then I get up and tell everybody how they should do it or something like that. I was the #1 agent in the country under the age of 30 when I was 26 years old. I grew up in this industry. I was building teams before team was a thing. I know what it's like to sit across the dining room table. Okay, this isn't one of those things where, like I said, I'm watching something and then just repeating that back to you. At this point right now, I run the 3rd largest coaching and training company in North America. We will be #1. The other two just have a 25-year jump on me. So we will get there, okay? But that happens for a reason, okay? Like all of the stuff I'm going to talk about, it's not a theory. It's working with thousands of our people all over the world, okay? And how many of you know if it works for someone, it can work for you, right? Like what we love to do, you know what we love to do in this industry? Here's what agents do. They either say, when you say something new or something they can do, they either say, well, nobody's doing that in my marketplace. Nobody's doing it. Or they say, well, everyone's doing that in my marketplace. Where's the win? Where's the win when that's your mentality? Everyone's doing it or nobody's doing it, right? I'm a big believer that doing something is greater than overthinking an idea. Let me say that again. Doing something is better than overthinking an idea. How many of you know someone who overthinks just a little bit? Okay, are they in your seat right now? Is that a better, okay? How many of you know you create problems that don't even exist when you live up here? Is that true or not true? I'm gonna remind you guys again that I can see you. You guys know that, right? Just want to make sure you guys know this is not a hologram. Like when I'm talking to you, when I ask a question, if there's no response, I can see you guys not responding, okay? Just want to make sure that we just get rid of that illusion real quick. You guys know I can see you? Yes? Okay, so how many of you know when you live up here, you create problems that don't even exist? True or not true, right? I saw a meme recently and it said, what happens when you shower? And it said 3% bathing, 97% winning fake arguments in your head, okay? And it's funny because it's true, okay? It's very true. We live up here, okay? We hear great things, we go to events, we get great ideas, and at the end of the day, we walk around and we go outside and we're like, oh, look, the sun is out. Okay, you guys ever went to something, heard something great, and didn't do a darn thing? You guys ever done that? Right? You come, how many of you know someone who should be here right now, but they're not? Okay? And so you're going to leave here at the end of the day, you're going to see them, you should have been there. Oh, it was so good, it was so good. Oh yeah, what did he talk about? I'm not sure, but it was so good. Okay, how much of a result do you get when that happens? Nothing. Guys, I'm here to do more than just kind of give you a jolt, okay? I want to actually talk about things that can make a difference. I want to talk about things that can move the needle. I want to talk about things that can help you close that potential gap. I'm not, you know, a lot of times I get named like a motivational speaker, and it drives me nuts because, you know, all I picture is these people being like, you know, think big and then think bigger. You know, I hate that crap. Okay, like I hate it. I'm much more Larry David than I am Tony Robbins. Okay, like I don't view the world in a way. You know, you guys remember that that insurance commercial where it was like Pinocchio being a motivational speaker? This is what all of my friends think I do. And he's looking over the room and he's like, when I look at this room, all I see is potential. You guys remember that commercial? Okay, but I don't. I don't see nothing but potential. That's not how my head works, okay? I look around and I see, yeah, wasted potential. How many of you know there's more? Like, how many of you know there's clients that have come through your sphere, moved on, and they could have worked with you, but you just never did what you should have done. You never followed up like you should have. You didn't have the right infrastructure. You were too busy. How many of you know that's happened? We're living a little bit under our potential. We can agree that that is the case, right? There's no doubt that that's happening. I said that at an event recently, and a guy comes up after, and he's like, I don't think so, man. He goes, I don't think I've forgotten about anybody. And I said, sir, with all due respect, the definition of forget means that you wouldn't think that you had forgotten because you don't remember. Like, you don't remember what you've forgotten. And he thought about it for a second, and I'm like, just trust me. Just trust me, that's how it works, okay? At the end of the day, what we do matters. Our infrastructure matters, and the ability to scale is going to matter based on how well you do those things. And what I love about the marketplace that we're in right now is that we are now becoming a market where what you do actually matters. You know, there was a day, especially during hot markets, where all you had to know how to do was to write up a contract. And that is not the case anymore, okay? We live in a world right now where everyone's going to try to tell you that agents are being eliminated, that people aren't going to use agents, and yet the number of people when buying or selling, consumers in the last 7 years that used an agent has gone up every year the last 7 years. You don't hear that in the news, but it's the truth. You know that last year we set a record for commissions in the US? First time in history that 100 billion, over 100 billion with a B, over $100 billion in commissions were paid out to our industry. Do you know that? No? That was an over 16% increase of our previous record. There's more opportunity than ever before. It's a cash grab right now. But here's the interesting thing. It's not for everyone. Last year, in that same time when over $100 billion was paid out, 50% of our agents, meaning half the agents, made 91% of that $100 billion. Which I know you guys aren't mathematicians, but that means 50% made what? 9%. Now here's the interesting thing. I think the gap is even wider. See, statistics, when you think about it, I did a podcast on this once. Statistics don't tell you what is. They tell you what was. Because in order to grab that data, they had to do that research over the last 12 months. So if something is skewing in a certain way, you're not finding what it is today, you're finding what it was what? Over the last 12 months. Okay? That's how data works. So it tells you what was, not what is. It gives you a snapshot, but it's not 100% accurate, right? And so I actually think that gap is widening and widening and widening, okay? Do you know that 23.8% of all agents did 75% of the transactions? That's an even wider gap. How about that? So the question you have to ask yourself is if you're going to be in that number. And here's the good news. You're here today. I'm talking to people. I'm literally preaching to the choir. I'm talking to people who care enough to show up. But that is one more delineation. The next level of delineation is you show up and you actually do something, right? Nobody shows up at something like this to figure out everything they're doing is right. Can we agree on that? Some people do. You know, they're usually in the back. They usually have their arms crossed. They've usually been around a while. They need to show up so everyone sees them. But nobody's going to teach them anything. Okay? I know how to do business. I know, guys, the greatest way, the number one greatest way to underperform on your potential is to get romantic about how you got here today. Think about that. The number one way to underperform on your potential from this point going on is to get romantic about how you got here today, about how you built your business to get here, about how you're, we teach our students something very simple, guys. We say marry the principle, date the model. Marry the principle, date the model. Principles are tried and true, okay? The principle of getting in front of someone at the time they need you before a competitor gets there, always true, right? Whether it's 30 years ago or today. The model, the strategy, we date because it changes. How many of you remember the phone book before it was used just to prop up a child at a table? By the way, for anybody in here that hires agents, if you want a good salesperson, those people selling ads in the phone book, holy crap, that's a wizard. That is a wizard of a salesperson. There are still people convincing businesses to pay to put their ad in a phone book. I want you to think about that for a second. That is an absolute freaking wizard. People are going to see it. What? Who are these? When was the last time you opened a phone book? For the young people in here, that was a list, a directory of, I know you're wondering, okay? I know you thought it was trash in your driveway that someone just threw out the side of their window, but it was an actual thing. It was Google before we went digital, right? But that's a salesperson, okay? But I digress, okay? We marry the principle, we date the model. The reason I asked that question was, the principle, what we marry, what doesn't change is the idea of getting in front of someone at the time they need you before your competitor gets there. The model, the strategy. Remember when it used to be we'd call the phone book? Any of you remember those days? Hey, I got a buyer and you would just go through the phone book. No, none of you remember that? Yeah, that was, like, that's not really the number one strategy anymore, guys. Now, the idea of getting it, we still want that, but the models, the strategies change, and that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today, okay? Some of what we're going to talk about, guys, I go old school, new school. All I care about is what works. I literally don't get romantic about what all I care about is what works, right? I don't care what I was teaching 2 years ago. I don't care what I was teaching to you. I don't care. Whatever works. That's all I care about. And I practice this every day, guys. I run 4 different multi-million-dollar companies. Like, I'm an operator, okay? I fired someone before I came in today. Like, this isn't just talk. This is everything I'm talking about with you guys. I do it. Do it every single day, right? The principles I talk about that you hear me say over and over and over again. Like, for those of you that heard me before, almost every event I say visibility trumps ability, right? I just released a video on YouTube. Visibility trumps ability. Being an option will always trump being the best. The best doesn't always win. You have to be an option, right? And so that principle, does that apply to all of my companies? Yeah, applies to every single one of them. Does that apply to your business? It doesn't matter what business you're in. Visibility is the key. If people don't know you, then they don't have a chance to. I said in this video I was talking about, I think I put it on, I don't know, Instagram or YouTube or something like that. And I said, hey, your job as a business is to get people to know you, K-N-O-W, so they have the opportunity to know you, N-O. That make sense? Your job as a business is to get people to know you, K-N-O-W, so they have the opportunity to know you, N-O. They have an opportunity to say no to you. But I know it's 2022 and everybody's fragile. And everyone's so offended by everything. It doesn't matter what you said or meant. All that matters is how it made me feel. I know that's the world we live in today, guys. But if you're in sales, if you're in this business, and you're too fragile to do anything that gets you rejected by somebody who has less of a memory than a goldfish, and 3 seconds later is never going to think of you again, and instead, you're giving up financial freedom, you're giving up the chance to be able to make decisions in your personal life based on what you should do, not what you have to do, because you work in a gold mine, but you're too fragile to get rejected. You got to rethink your stuff right now because it's broken. Okay? Rejection's the goal. Like, you want to be the top agent in the area? Be the most rejected agent. That's how it works. That's literally how it works. The most rejected agent in the area will be the most successful agent. That's how it works. You got to be an option. You got to run your business in a way, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff today. We're going to run your business in a way where people who didn't know about you yesterday have to make a decision about you today. That's what matters. People who never heard of you yesterday By today, they have to make a decision. And the decision is yes or no, and that means you're going to get a whole lot of no's. But what does that also mean? Okay? But I don't want to get rejected. I don't want to, then go work in a factory. There's no rejection. You'll probably be a part of a union. They can't fire you. You're good to go. Just stamp the thing and go next. But this is not. It's nothing against that. That's not what you signed up for. It's not what this is. You work in the gold mine. You have an industry that paid over $100 billion. You have limitless potential. You wake up you ever notice that when you're desperate, you do things that you wouldn't otherwise do? You talk to people you wouldn't have talked to? You ever notice that's the case? You know, there's this misnomer. Everybody, like if I were to ask this room and I was like, how many of you want to be top producers? You'd be like, yeah, I do. The truth is, human nature is not that. It's really not. Human nature is just enough. So what happens is we have these turn-on, turn-off valves. And when we're desperate and we got, oh my God, bills are due. Oh my God, I've got this. Oh my God, I don't have anything set up. We start doing things that we wouldn't normally do because we're like, crap, I got to make something happen. There's no salary coming in here. And then what happens is once we set up a few transactions, we're like, okay, I'm still going to go to work. I'm not going to be lazy, but, I'm going to go play customer service rep for a couple months and just manage these transactions. And then you wonder why. Business goes up, business goes down. Business goes up, business goes down. What I did very well as an agent when I was #1 in the country, and what I do very well now as a business owner, is every day I wake up at 0. Every day. I completely clear the slate. What happened yesterday, it doesn't matter. What happened good, what happened bad, what happened, doesn't matter. I got to create today. For today to be productive, I've got to create today. I said something, you guys want a little insight into how my mind works? It's very morbid. I guess I'm going to move forward with it now because I said it. Do you know what I think about that keeps me motivated? This is so weird for me to tell you this before I even get into jokes or anything, guys. Don't worry, guys. I'll get funny. Hopefully. But you know what my mind literally does? Like when I feel, and I'm not talking about rest. Rest is a good thing. Okay, like you should rest. You should energize. You should all of that stuff. Do you know what I do though when I know that I'm being complacent? So morbid, guys. I literally picture someone on their deathbed praying for 30 seconds of life, and I'm like, how freaking lucky am I? And I'm not even going to do anything? Well, that person would kill to be in my position. I think about that. It creates contrast for me. I'm like, shoot, that's bullcrap. I'm not going to go run through the motions. People would kill to be in my position right now. I'm not going to do that. So whatever it takes for you is your thing, but you got to work this thing right here. Like this thing is your greatest enemy or it's your worst nightmare, right? I wrote a book called Get Out of Your Way. We blame everyone else. Everybody's always a victim. Everybody's whatever, but at the end of the day, who's a part of every situation? Who's in every, right here. Look, when it's everyone else, that's a problem. Because that means you don't have control over it. I did a video years ago, and I said, man, my life became much easier when I came to the conclusion everything's my fault. Everything's my fault. You're not getting along with your spouse? My fault. Kids aren't acting right? My fault. Business isn't coming in? My fault. This isn't whatever. Now, is it actually true? Not always. But does it help me? Yeah. Because when I'm able to always say it's someone else's fault, it's someone else's whatever, then I have no control. Great, so at least I have an excuse. Yeah, but you also lose. I lose in every one of those situations. But when I take accountability and responsibility and I go, my fault, my fault, my fault, even if it's not my fault, who now has the control to fix it? I do. And I don't know about you, but that's the position I want to come from. Because you got to work this thing. This thing's going to work against you or it's going to work for you. Right? It's a computer, guys. It's just programmed. It's just what's going in. What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Guys, for God's sakes, can we stop listening to so many people? Please. There's this, the world we live in today, there are just so many voices. There are so many. You ever heard this line of bullcrap, leaders are readers? You're like, what's he talking about? That's not bull. You guys ever heard that? Leaders are readers? I had a guy tell me recently, hey, Jared, I got a New Year's resolution. You want to hear it? And I said, sure. And he goes, I'm going to read a book a week all year long. I'm going to read a book a week. I said, dude, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And he just looked at me like, what? And I said, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And he goes, well, what are you talking about? You're reading a book a week. When are you doing anything? There's 52 different opinions. Here we go. Now I'm just confused. And when people are confused, they don't act. How about you read one book and try to implement it over 52 weeks? How about that? You know, one of the greatest things about our world today is the amount of content that's out there. But can I share a little advice for you guys? It's going to sound a little cultish, but it's not. I'm just trying to help right now because I don't even care if it's me. If it's someone else, great. Stop listening to so many voices. Like, they're confusing you. You know, you listen to Grant Cardone and he's like, you know, all debt is great. You should have as much debt as possible. That's how you get rich. And then you go listen to, what's his name? He was at R4 last year. Dave Ramsey. And he's like, debt's terrible. Get rid of all debt. Guys, who's right? They're both millionaires. So at the end of the day, who speaks to you? What season are they in? What season are you in? Who do you align more with? Stop listening to so many competing voices. Pick your voices and go all in. That's what you do. That's how you create clarity. That's how you create consistency. That's how you do it. That's how you create success. You don't create confusion in your head. So if that's me, awesome. Go for it. If that's not me, find someone else. But all of this, I'm driving in my car and it's a ride-along learning center and I'm just constantly, that's awesome unless you're doing nothing all day long but listening to all these different voices that all say different things and at the end of the day, yeah, you filled yourself up with a lot. You can humble brag and tell everybody how much you learned and how much you whatever, but at the end of the day, you're not doing crap. Because you're just like, I'm frozen right now. Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I take a loan? Do I not take a loan? I have no idea. But I read that book. 2 books in the last 2 weeks. Like, way to go, Donna. Way to go. Doesn't work, guys. Okay? Leaders are not readers. Leaders are learners. Remember I said marry the principle, date the model? A model of strategy is reading. Some of you prefer reading, and that's awesome. You should read then. But the principle is learning. You understand? It's like saying transportation is car. Well, all people who travel, they do it by car. No, there's new things now. There's airplanes. There's all sorts of, the principle is transportation. The model, the strategy is whatever's going to work at that moment. Leaders are learners. So the principle, the strategy, the principle is learning. Leaders are learners. But how that happens, guys, I'm sorry, I don't sit down every day and flip through the next, with a candle over it. Like, sometimes I listen to a podcast. Sometimes I watch a YouTube video. Sometimes I have Audible. Sometimes I do, just learning. What's your thing? And if it's reading, awesome. But 52 books a year, come on. What are you doing? Doesn't work, guys. 1 or 2, implement and make sure your voices are aligned, right? Because chances are, they wrote a book or they get the chance to speak in front of you or they get to they probably know what they're talking about. But who aligns with where you are? Who understands the season, the stage that you're in? One of the things I tell, well, it's not true, not every audience, it depends on how much time I have, but is, when you listen to someone like me and I talk about closing the potential gap and, you see people around you, or maybe you see me and you're like, I can never be number one. By the way, everyone has different potential, right? Again, I know it's 2022 and everyone's equal. But when Usain Bolt stepped on a track, he was naturally faster than I am. You think it's any different in business? Different people have different potential. Not everyone in here can be number 1 in the country. I hate to break it to you. It's just not how it works. You can get more of your potential, though, but one of the worst things you do is look at all the people around you and start to compare what you're doing to them when, number 1, they might have a higher potential. And that's just the truth. Number 2, they might be in a different season in their life. Joe Schmo just graduated college. He's working 20 hours a day. It's all he does. He doesn't, you have 3 kids. You're a single mom. You're probably going to have different goals. You're going to have different, and that's okay. But if you start comparing yourself to that person, you're like, why aren't I doing as much? Why aren't I? Because you're in a different season of your life. And you have to Understand that. Otherwise, you create expectations that just don't make any sense. Or you create expectations based on what you don't even want. Some of you don't want to have some massive team and do. You just want to make a living, be able to travel, not have to worry about bills. That's okay. You got to know what it is without looking at someone else and saying, well, that's what they're doing. Oh, crap, I've got to do what they're, oh, I'm not going to be number one if I don't do this. I've got to. Some of you need to say at your next company meeting when they're like, what are you going to do this year? You need to be like, I'm going to be number 7. Not 6, not 8. I've figured it all out. I'm right. You're looking at number 7. That is my spot. That's okay. How many number 1s can there be? Quick math. I saw one of you look up. I'm going to act like that didn't happen. Okay, it's about the fastball you're going to get today. That's a pretty simple example. Yeah, only one can be one for that person, and that's okay. And that comes with certain things, and that comes with, guys, I told you, I run the 3rd largest coaching and training company in North America. I told you we will be number 1. Do you know what that takes? Like, you have any idea what that takes? You have any idea how many of these events and how many virtuals and how many people I've got to be in front of and how many messages I've got to respond to and how many? That's not for everybody, okay? There's many times I'm sitting in a hotel room going, why the hell am I doing this? Holy crap, I just want to be at my place. Like, I do not want to be here right now. Or every time you walk into an airport and you're like, oh, God, here we go. Got to throw a mask on, get more sick from wearing this thing on the plane, get a runny nose from having it over. Like, I'm like, huh. Every time I walk into an airport, I'm like, oh, God, here we go. But there's a price to pay. That's okay. Have you figured the price it takes to do whatever it is that you're saying you want to do? What does it take? Are you okay with giving that up? Do you understand that the toll it takes on your family, on your personal life, on your, like, do you understand the price? Are you okay with paying that price? That's a question you've got to ask yourself first, okay? And so, guys, we live in interesting times right now. I think we can all agree the last 2 years, a little different. Would you guys agree? Right? I think if you told a family 10 years ago that, you know, the 8 of them would be gathered around a table smoking marijuana, and the illegal part would be the gathering, they'd... Interesting times right now. We live in a time right now where in the last 18 months, the sale of bras went down 40%. Some of you contributed to that. The sale of sweats went up by over 100%. Any of you contribute to that? Okay. Didn't think it deserved a clap, but I'll take it. I get it, man. I get it. It's been a long break. We forgot how to be an audience, guys. I get it. You don't know when to clap, when not to clap. I understand. But it's true, right? Like, we're wearing a lot of sweats now, right? Like, anybody remember back in the day when you'd go to work and then all of a sudden Casual Friday came out and it was like amazing. For men, you got to wear khakis and a polo. And it was like, holy crap, we're dressing down today. Any of you remember those days? Okay, yeah. Things have changed, right? The industry has changed. The market has changed. It's what used to be weird is not weird for some of you. It's different times right now, okay? We're living through a time right now where, I almost just asked you guys what time zone we're on, like a moron. I live an hour from here. I was going to say, are we on East Coast time? I'm going to walk back out to my car when this is over. I just want to be clear, so that would have been a very dumb question. Even dumber that I told you I was thinking it, so I regret that instantly. You guys can erase that last 30 seconds. You'll never get it back. So when you look at the times we're in right now, when you look at what's going on, one of the things we do know is that we're living through a time where there's more competition than ever. There's more disruptors than ever. Our whole industry is about disruption, and you guys have heard this, right? You guys have heard all this stuff, right? So I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit today. I'm going to talk to you, I forget how many, but I think 4 things. I don't know if I'll get to them all or not. It's kind of what I love about an audience like this. I have no notes. I'm just chatting with you guys. That's what's kind of fun about this. These are the things you do before you do R4. You throw some stuff out, see what works, like a stand-up comedian. And 90% of it hasn't so far, so thank you for the feedback, guys. I'm just messing with you. Thank you. Thank you. That was almost worse. So I'm going to talk to you guys about, I don't know, 3-4 things about how we remain undisruptible. Don't worry, guys. I already had COVID a couple weeks ago, so I am. You don't need to worry when I walk by you. I see some of you getting worried. I've had the great cold, so we're good. Uh, Still got a lingering cough, but we're all good here. But I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 things that we can do to become undisruptible. I'm probably going to spend like an hour on just getting listings. How many of you would like to get some more listings? Okay, so I'm going to make sure I leave time to leave about an hour and just talk about getting listings, full strategies on just getting listings, okay? I'm not sure how many I'm going to cover. I'm sure I'm going to cover too many for you to actually do, okay? So what you need to do is pick 1 or 2 of them and just go all in. I did an event in front of about 3,000 people a couple months ago, and I'm standing in front of this audience, and I said, how many of you would like more listings? And they're all foaming at the mouth. And I said, how many of you, if I call on you and I put you on the spot and I bring you up here, can tell me the strategy you follow every day to get more listings? 2 hands. 1 was probably lying. There's always one who, no matter what you say, I usually have fun with those people, because they just say yes to everything, and then I'll make up some technology. I'll be like, how many of you use that Doppel whatever app? And he's like, me. No such thing. That's for my own entertainment. The point is, we have a disconnect between what we say we want and what we actually do every day. Can we agree with that? We're all busy, right? Everyone's busy. We learn from a young age how to be busy. We learn from a young age that there's value in being busy. I did another show recently that I put on YouTube and Instagram called Are You Too Busy to Ever Actually Be Productive? Okay? Because we're all busy. If you're in this room and you do the most transactions in here, or you're in this room and you do the least, you probably work the same number of hours. I've got my older son who's like eye to eye with me now. It's kind of freakish. Had him young, not me, but yeah, he told me the other day he was gaming, which is what teenagers do. And he was gaming, and I wanted to do something with him. I said, hey, can we whatever? He goes, Dad, I'm just so busy. I don't have time right now. I don't have time, and I'm just watching him game for like the 4th hour. And I'm like, you're too busy? And it was that moment I realized, and I came to the conclusion that if you're not responsible for another human being, you've never had a child, you don't even know what busy is. Like until you're taking care of another living thing, I can't really hear how busy you are. Like that just comes with a whole different set of whatever, right? So we're all busy, but are we doing the right things? That's what really matters. Like we all have the same amount of what we're doing, but we're all having different results. We're all getting a different, does that make sense? And so one of the things that I hope to do with you today is not to add to your repertoire, add to your amount of things, but to replace something that you're doing that maybe isn't as productive. You all know that because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to come up with some stuff, and there's going to be some of you in here that when I'm all done, you're going to be like, I'd love to do that. I just don't have time. I just don't have time. I would love to follow you around every day and see just how busy you are and don't have time to actually do anything that works. I would love to do that. How many of you know I'd find some stuff in your schedule that is just, can we agree? Okay? And so it's an interesting time right now. It's an interesting thing. We've got a lot of competition. We've got a lot of disruption. I'm going to cover some of this stuff with you guys. Guys, I want to make sure you understand this. Everything I cover today, I'm going to give you for free. Okay? There's no last 90 seconds. I've got no booth in the back. I'm not selling you anything today. Okay? So everything I do, I'm going to give you an email at the end you can send to, and I'm going to give you all of these slides for free. You don't need to be taking pictures of them. There's still going to be someone in a couple minutes who's going to keep taking pictures. Just watch. You'll see. Done this before. But I promise you, there's nothing you can do today that's going to stop me from giving you these slides, okay? Just see, that's not coming back. So go ahead and take notes. I hope you're taking notes. You know, you remember 10% of what you hear, 30% of what you hear and write down, 70% of what you hear, write down, and teach to someone else. So what do you think you need to do as a result of today? There you go. Hear it, write it down, teach it. That's how you learn, okay? I do a thing called Did You Sweat Today on a regular basis, right, on my stories and whatever. And it's just, for me, it's just accountability. It's accountability. Everybody else says I'm holding them accountable, and I'm like, hey, me too. You know, there's something about that responsibility of somebody else, you know. So make sure you're taking notes, but you don't need to be taking pictures of the slides. They are 1,000% going to be given to you, okay? When we look at this, guys, we talk about disruption. Disruption is a forcible separation or division into 2 parts, okay? Now, how many of you know there's more competition than ever before right now? Would you agree with that? More companies, more whatever, right? But here's the thing, we're looking at competition wrong. When you really look at what competition does, competition either eliminates you or it makes you better. Those are the two options. Competition either eliminates you or it makes you better. Now here's the thing, if you tell me that there's more competition than ever, that means that you have a greater opportunity than in the history of our world to either be eliminated or be made better. Now here's how I know where you're going to fall. If you walk around every day complaining about your competition, I know which one of these camps you're going to end up in. Oh, Zillow going end to end, stealing our clients. Guys, I've yet to see the video of Zillow pulling up in a 1980s van, gagging your clients, throwing some handcuffs on them, and throwing them in the back of the truck. I mean, I've yet to see it. In fact, here's a greater point. If someone is your competition, the only reason that they're able to be competition is because they have clients, which means that your consumer is reacting to what they're doing. So we can either complain about competition, or we can look at it and go, what can I learn from what they're doing that I can add to my tool belt? Because obviously the consumers are responding. Obviously it's working. So I can either complain or I can learn. And competition always does one of two things. What is it, guys? It's right there. What does it do? It either eliminates you or what? We have an opportunity like never before right now to either be eliminated. What did I say? I said that gap is widening. Who's making the money? Who's doing the... It's widening. Because we have an industry of agents that are running around, running their business like 90210 is still a hit show. For any of you who don't know what that means, Brandon Walsh and these people on a show in the 90s. Consumers have drastically changed. Consumers now live in a world where they one-click shop on Amazon. Consumers live in a world, you're still not wanting to do video because I don't like how I look and sound. Which, newsflash, you look and sound on video exactly like you do right now. So unless you showed up here with a bag over your head, you do have masks on. What are you afraid of video for? Like, your consumers are doing it. You got stay-at-home moms doing daily Zoom happy hours, beating the hell out of their livers, but on video. Every single... The consumers today are ordering their groceries through an app and picking them up or having them delivered. Remember when I'll never do that because they're not going to pick out the good bananas? I could never order my groceries. They're not going to get the good oranges. Do you guys remember saying that? Okay? I will never step foot in a grocery store again. Never. Why would I? Guys, I get off a plane, I open up my app. It's got it saved. What's going on? What's the, whatever. By the way, guys, do you guys know Nick Bailey, CEO, President of React? He says hello. I just got a text. I shouldn't be looking at it now, but he knew I was here. So Nick says hello. Make sure you all said hello, too, even though none of you had the manners to do that. Because I land at the airport, and I pull up, and I'm like, it's already got my order. I have, boom, and then someone brings it to me when I get home. I mean, what? What? And they know if they don't get me the good bananas, they're getting a bad rating. Like, it's all, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the world they're living in. And some of you are still giving them your fax number. Good God. Why don't you just send it over in a pigeon's mouth? It might get here quicker. Any of you have a pager number, maybe? Like, I mean, it's a new world. And with the number of options they have, when you don't stay up on what's going on and you don't communicate, they want to communicate, and you don't, how many more options do they have? How many? Like, next. Ariana Grande, thank you. Next. That was for 4 of you, by the way. Some of you think I just gave a Starbucks order. Guys, some of them are for me, like I said, whatever. But you get my point, guys. Like, that's the world we live in right now. Like, it's drastically changing. It is moving. It is, and it's not just the young people. It's not just the millennials. It's not just the Gen X. It's everyone. Like my grandfather is on apps. Like it's weird, but he is. He's got nothing else to do. He's just, playing on the phone, doing whatever. It's a completely different world we live in right now. So when we look at competition, either eliminates you or it makes you better. The best example, I was talking for years about the example of like what Netflix did to Blockbuster, right? We've heard that. Well, then again, there was like maybe 30% of you that never heard of me or done anything, but I was giving that example for years. Look what Netflix did to Blockbuster. Look what Netflix did to Blockbuster. So they eliminated them, right? Because Blockbuster made the argument that, well, no, people are going to keep watching movies. Well, yeah, they are. But they're not going to come to your store and pay an $8 late fee because you delivered it back 48 hours late. Not going to do that anymore. So they kept watching videos, but how they did it changed. Now, everybody pays attention to that. But they don't pay attention to the next level of it, which is what did they do to Disney? How many of you in this room have a Disney Plus subscription? Everybody look around the room, please. Look around the room. Look at all those hands. 18 months ago, not one hand was up. Disney Plus has over 130 million subscribers right now. Within 2 years, they're supposed to have over 250 million. The same competition, Netflix, that eliminated Blockbuster, the exact same competition, created for this little startup called Disney, the greatest revenue stream they've ever seen. Interesting, isn't it? One of them looked at it and got romantic about what got them here. And one of them looked at it and went, people are watching movies, they're watching videos, but this has changed. And what did they do? Created the greatest revenue stream they've ever. So how does that apply to us? Competition either eliminates you or makes you better. And when you start looking at the competition in your area, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff, what are you doing that's bringing it into your own tool belt, that's bringing it in because consumers are plentiful and consumers are using agents like never before and commissions are being paid out like never before and videos are being watched like never before, but not at Blockbuster. Make sense? So you got to decide which one you're going to be. And guys, I do this every day with my own companies. We were the first company, so we have traditional one-on-one coaching, and we have team leader coaching, and we have brokerage-wide coaching and training, and we have all that stuff. We were the first ones that launched virtual training. First ones. Okay? Wasn't even a thing. And now we have tens and tens of thousands of agents that are in those programs. And do you know when I first launched it, how bad it was? Oh my God, it sucked. Holy crap, it was bad. I didn't even know what we were doing. I just knew we had to do it. I'm like, this is an option people need, and it was so terrible. Like, we didn't have the platforms we have today. We didn't have all this stuff. But I knew it had to happen. Right? So I had to commit to screwing up before I could get better. I had to commit to playing guinea pig on myself before I had to commit to looking stupid. We have customers to this day that are still in it, paying like $29 a month or something. Because we grandfathered them. They never went with the new whatever, and they deserve it. Like when I look at those people, I'm like, first off, I appreciate you, or you just don't pay attention to your credit card. I don't know which one it is, but wow, you are something special because you were there and you stuck around when, oh my God, was this bad? Like it was bad. You see what I'm saying? Okay? And we've got to have that same attitude when we look at things, okay? So competition either what? Eliminates you or what? Makes you better. And in order to do that, we either complain about our competition or what? We pay attention to what they're doing. How do we take that? How do we make that as part of something that we offer to our people, right? Now take a look at this. We've also got to understand what's going on in the marketplace. So if you look at this right here, we see these numbers, 65, 69, 71. Again, I know we're not mathematicians, but would you say those numbers are going up or going down? Thank you. Another fastball. These numbers, you know what they represent? During the greatest technological surge in our industry, during the greatest technological surge in our world, they represent the number of people who found their agent through a referral, past agent, or sphere of influence. Wow. That does not sound like the headlines. Does that sound like the latest clickbait from the TMZ of our industry, Inman News? Does that sound like what you guys hear on a regular basis? People are working with people they know, like, and trust. Is that a headline you see a lot? Or is it agents are going to be disrupted? You're going to be no more. Here's the latest one. Dun, dun, dun. Which one do you see? And yet look what's actually going on. And so we need to know this because it needs to inform us of how we run a business. We as people were so extreme. Just look at the last 2 years. We're so extreme. Either COVID doesn't even exist, or wear a mask in your car when nobody's even in there with you. Holy crap. You need to check your life if that's you, okay? But we just get extreme about everything. And we did this in the industry, where guys like me were talking about for years and going, hey guys, we love referrals. We want referrals. We teach referrals. They're still the number one way, but you're missing out on the internet. We're like, oh, those leads suck though. No, they don't. They're people just like anyone else. They're just a longer time frame, you know? They're 9 months before they even tell their spouse they're thinking of selling. They're jumping on Zillow, getting an inaccurate estimate, and hearing from 12 agents. Like, it's just a different world. We used to be an industry where it was enough to get in front of people when they were ready to buy and sell, and we're now an industry where we have to get in front of people when they're ready to learn. Different thing, right? But we went so extreme in this industry, and we started listening to people like me, and we stopped taking care of the people who know us, trust us, and like us, and just started trying to convert the leads. And I'm like, McFly, come on. Like, there's an in-between here. You know, if you're spending more time in your business trying to convert people who don't already know you, like you, and trust you, than you are maintaining the relationship with those that already do, again, your system is broken right now. Okay? I'm not saying we only do one or the other. I'm saying one is a priority because they're the ones that actually pay our bills. Now, should we be converting? Should we? Yes. You guys know me. Like, for those of you that know me, I'm pro-internet. I'm pro-social. I do a ton on social. I've got 8 million views on YouTube. Love social. Love these things. I'm just saying there's proper balance, right? Just like the world we've come through. Hey, you're not going to die by making eye contact. You should be safe and do what, like, there's proper balance in everything, guys. We don't need to be extreme in everything. Does that make sense? But then you look at this right here. Look at that. Amount of business that came from websites. Is that going up or down? Wow. Does that sound like the world that you hear about all the time? 5%, 4%, 3%. So this needs to inform how we run our businesses. That doesn't mean we don't have a website. We should. Because good brand, look, principle, model. The principle of brand building has been always that you need to touch someone 6 different times for them to remember you, right? So like, but it used to be things like, you know, you'd get on the TV, you'd have a billboard, you'd get in your local, you know, real estate ad, you'd get in your, whatever. But the principle still remains. But now how we get in front of them, sure, the internet and social, and it could be a billboard, it could be, but the principle still remains. Doesn't mean we ignore these things. We just put them in their proper perspective. Does that make sense? We don't go extreme and just, well, see, I told you that was crap. Told you we didn't need to be on social. Just to know that Johnny had chicken for dinner. It's such a waste of time. Those aren't even your real friends. Guys, how many real friends do you have? Okay, how many people here did you talk to? How long did you talk to them before someone brought up the weather? And do you avoid them? You only have so many real friends. But things like social and visibility, top of mind. You see how this works? Constant. So I'm going to talk about 4 different things. Maybe 4, I'm not sure, depending on time, because I really want to spend time talking about listings and those kinds of things. So I'm going to talk about, what time do I have till again? Anybody know? What time do I have till? Okay. All right. So what do I have till noon? Is that correct? Perfect. All right. So I'm going to talk about a few things we can do that I've been talking about all over the world, and I'm going to do a little something different with you guys where I'm going to talk about, like I said, some specific ways to be getting listings, okay? But the first thing we need to focus on here is this right here. If you don't remember anything else I say today, what I'm about to talk about in the next 10 to 15 minutes here, please pay attention, okay? The number one thing we need to do to ultimately become undisruptible is this right here. You've got to have a plan for post-transaction. And I'm going to explain to you what this means. I'm going to break this down. And once again, this is where you're probably going to want to start taking pictures of the slides. And if you're that person, the offer's still on the table. You're going to get the slides. So let's talk about this. So the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020 was the first time in history that venture capital got introduced into our business. It was the first time that Silicon Valley got introduced into our business. And basically, they looked at our industry and they said, this is the next great industry to be disrupted. Similar to what we did to the insurance industry, similar to what we did to the travel industry. Remember that? And they looked at our industry and they said, this we can disrupt. And when they looked at our industry and thought of disruption, do you think their idea of disruption included you in the future or didn't include you? Did not include you. And when you really think about it, it kind of made sense. We'll get into that in a little bit. But they put billions of dollars into our industry. Billions. Billions into iBuyer. 1.5 billion into mortgages. Now, I think in the beginning, you guys are a mortgage, correct? Okay? You're going to hate me for like 30 seconds, but it's coming around. You're going to like me. When you look at it from their perspective, and they said 1.5 billion into mortgage, because they went, we can disrupt mortgage. We don't need a local mortgage rep. If you really look at it from their perspective, it actually made sense. Are you telling me that someone can't just go online, put in their information, have 50 banks bid on them, take the lowest rate, and within 2 months it's going to get sold to a major bank anyway? Can you not do that? You could do that today. But it showed that they didn't have a full understanding of our industry, how it actually works. There's an old line, the difference between a contact and a contract is an R, the relationship. You guys ever heard that before? Okay, I just made it up right now. You can quote that, just do dash Jared James afterwards. That's now my quote, okay? The difference between a contact and a contract is an R, it's a relationship, right? And here's what they didn't understand. While what I just said is true, you could do that, not actually how our industry works. What really happens is people start working with you. They don't even know the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. The market is extremely competitive. They go start wanting to look at houses. You ask them if they've been pre-approved. They're like, well, I think I have a pre-qualification. I don't know, like, what's the difference, whatever. You're like, look, in a competitive market like this, if we see a property, we need to make an offer right away, which means we need to get this done now. You don't even have to use the person you get the pre-approval through, but we need a pre-approval, right? And they're like, well, great. Who do you talk to? Who do you know? And next thing you know, you're going to say, hey, we've got great mortgage people right here. Why don't you talk to them? So they go to them, they talk to them, they end up liking them, and they're like, hey, all right, I got a pre-approval. And then more times than not, they end up using them, who were recommended by you. So while it's true that they could just throw their information online, isn't that actually how it works? Is that not how it works more times than not? So while from the overhead this made sense, from the actual practicality of on the ground, it was like, that's not how it actually works. So they threw billions and billions of dollars into our industry, but here's the amazing thing I want you to recognize. All of these billions of dollars, and you see that little zero, the third one up? What did they put $0 into? Post-purchase. Billions of dollars into disrupting our industry and not $1 into post-purchase. Which some of you would look at and go, well, that's just stupidity. We all know all the value is after. They're going to get referred. They're going to work with you. We all know that. And while we want to call them stupid and think whatever, do you know how I think they came up with their strategy? By watching us. Too soon? Is it not true? Yeah, how many of you have had a situation where you work with someone for 3 to 6 months, they're like your best friend. They're riding around in your car. They're ready to name their firstborn after you. You're besties. You're going to have dinner when this whole thing's over. And then they close, and 2 years later you see them in the supermarket, and it's weird. It's awkward because you have not stayed in touch. Anybody, does that sound familiar to anybody in this room? Okay? And then you get to the point where it's like, well, I know I should follow up, but how do I don't even know what to say. You ever thought about that? Well, maybe I'll use the old school techniques. If you know anybody looking to buy or sell, okay, guys, basically that says to them, nothing you said I actually cared about. Like the world has changed now. Like the world is different now. Does that sound familiar to any of you in this room? Okay? So while it may seem like, oh, they're crazy for that, they really just did it by watching us. But take a look at this right here. Anybody know what that 117,000 is? That is, according to a recent study, the average lifetime value of a real estate client. Probably more in your area, by the way. Actually, I know it's more. But that is across the country, the average lifetime value of a real estate client. Meaning over the course of their life, the number of times they'll buy and sell, the number of times they'll refer you, the number of times, it's $117,000. How many of you would treat your clients a little different if they walked around with a sign over their head that said, I'm worth $117,000? Any of you treat them a little different? Okay? That's what it is. But take a look at this right here. So there's this thing. You guys heard of the marketing funnel before? Have you guys heard of this before? If not, doesn't matter if you have or not. But this is in play in every single thing we do. Okay? It's the funnel of how people become clients. And there's a top funnel you see there, which is just awareness, that kind of stuff. Then there's a middle of the funnel, and then there's a bottom of the funnel. And the closer they get to the bottom, the closer they are to the chicken popping out the egg. Okay? That's basically what's going on. And at the top of the funnel in real estate, you have things like Facebook and Instagram leads. You know, all those leads that suck. No, they don't. They're just longer term. Not, by the way, every single one of them builds your database. Okay? But they're longer term. They're more, you know, that kind of a thing. And because people didn't go to Facebook to fill out a real estate ad. They went there to stalk their ex-lover. That's what they're there for. Okay? And so it takes longer, right? It's just they're going to take a little bit of, okay? And then the middle of the funnel, a little closer to the bottom, that's going to be things like your Zillow, your Realtor.com, your Google PPC, your pay-per-click, those kind of things. Why are those closer to the bottom? Because people went to those places for real estate. Make sense? They went to Zillow. They went to Realtor.com. They typed in something on Google, you know, homes in whatever. So that's a closer lead. And then you have the bottom of the funnel. That's your past clients, sphere of influence, referrals. Those are quicker. Those are easier. Can we agree with that? Okay, but here's what's happening right now. This funnel no longer applies. I'm going to explain to you what I mean. You guys ever heard of the company BombBomb software? Okay, so the founder of BombBomb, Darren Dawson, the guy's like my brother. Like, we're besties. We have text messages that if anybody ever saw them, we couldn't run for office. Maybe we could. It's a good dude. And he and I were having a conversation once, and we were trying to figure out, I do an event every year, the Jared James Advance. And every year, last year we're in Nashville, this year we're going to be in Nashville, and we have people come in from all over the world, and it's a 2-day conference and whatever. And so he and I were talking about, I wanted him to share at the conference. And he and I were talking about what should we talk about? Like what should be the thing that we want to get across to these agents? And it's great because he and I can act like 12-year-olds, and then we can also flip it up a notch and, like, you know, talk intelligently. Only for a little bit, though. We don't want to overheat. And we start talking about the funnel. And we start talking about the idea that what most people in this industry don't understand is that this funnel doesn't apply anymore. Like, the way the funnel looks now is like this, okay? Now, there's the initial funnel, which has now flipped on its side. And then it gets to a commitment. That's the sale. But then a whole other funnel opens up. And he said, what the people in your industry don't understand, that we understand in mine. He's a SaaS company, okay? SaaS. A SaaS company is not just a company with a little more attitude. It's software as a service, SaaS. They have MRR, which is monthly reoccurring revenue. It's a software. It's a CRM. It's a you pay every month type of thing. He goes, what you guys don't understand that we understand is that the funnel no longer exists as it is. There's a funnel that gets to the closing, but then there's a whole other funnel that opens up that you guys completely ignore. And so I'd ask you guys a question real quick. When we look at this, and we look at the left side of the transaction and the right side of the transaction, we look at pre-closing and post-closing. When we look at 117,000 average lifetime value, where does the majority of that value lie? Is it on the left side pre-close or the right side post-close? Where does it lie? Right side, right? Okay, now here's a very simple question I want you to ask yourself. Where do you spend the majority of your time, energy, money, and everything else? Do you spend it on the left side trying to close everybody, or do you spend it on the right side, keeping the people who already know you? Left side. In most cases, left side. So there's a disconnect that's occurring here. And what we need to understand in order for this to really take root is the fundamental shift, and I want you guys to remember this, the fundamental shift that needs to occur in your head for you to really take advantage of this is the idea that the transaction does not stop at the closing. The transaction starts at the closing. I'm going to say that again for you guys. The fundamental shift that we need to make up here is that the transaction does not stop at the closing. It starts at the closing. Does that make sense? I mean, guys, honestly, I could say goodnight, everybody, and leave. If you just get that one principle, you'll change your business. But you'd probably like to know like things you could do to actually take advantage post-close, whatever. That'd be nice, guys? Would that be? Okay. So I'll talk about one thing we've done with our students that has drastically changed so many of our students' businesses, okay? So here's where this came from. How many of you are part of some kind of a loyalty program? You're a part of Delta, you're a part of Marriott, you're a part of whatever. How many of you are part of you go into TGI Fridays and every once in a while you get a free appetizer? How many of you would fall into that category, right? We love loyalty programs. They're awesome. I was in New York. I was flying out. I was going somewhere and I walked up to, I fly Delta everywhere, and I walked up to the gate agent. I asked her a question. And she said, "What's your name?" They always do that. And she looked me up, and then she answered the question. And then she said, "Mr. James, as a result of how loyal you've been to Delta, I'd like you to take this $15 gift card and have breakfast on us across the hall." Now, it doesn't matter that $15 wouldn't even buy me half an omelet in the New York airport. Do you know what I learned that day? Do you know what I actually learned that day? I learned what a cheap date I am. I got offered $15, and I am talking about them all over the world. Like, guys, could I have afforded the $15? Guys, plus tip. Plus tip. And yet they gave me enough money to buy a quarter of an omelet at JFK, and I will never forget it. I knew what it felt like. I felt appreciated. I was like, I will never leave them. I will never leave them. And I walked away from that experience and I started thinking to myself, how do we do this in real estate? How do we do it? Because that feeling I had, everyone else that works, they need to have that feeling. The loyalty I feel for $15 was ridiculous. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, how come we don't do this in our industry? I said, how do we do it in our industry? And so we came up with this idea, and we came up with this thing that we're doing now that we've started implementing with thousands of people, and the results are incredible. So here's what we do. All of you need to create a client loyalty program, and I'm talking down to the fact of creating, like, you know those black American Express cards that are like heavy and whatever? I'm talking you create black cards, and at the closing, you're going to present them as now being in the club. You're in the loyalty program, and you have this as being a past client of mine. And you make it a big deal. And as part of your client loyalty program, you do things like a yearly gift certificate. So you actually are literally going to create a campaign in your CRM that every 2 months it's going to remind you that you need to reach out to them and what you're going to tell them. And 2 months later, it's going to be, hey. And it's not going to be, by the way, if you know anybody looking at it's going to be, hey, as a result of you being in the program, you're due a gift card. What restaurant do you want that to be to? Do you think they like getting that call? Do you think that they start to associate good things when you reach out? Okay. Another thing that's going to happen, as part of your program, you give them 1 night of free babysitting. Once a year, you'll pay for a babysitter to come over and babysit. I had a gentleman ask me at a Q&A recently, what if they don't have kids? You know that old thought about there's no such thing as a dumb question? That challenged that idea, okay? No, you do not offer babysitting to people without children. You don't offer dog walking if they don't own a canine, okay? Like, that's not going to happen. I just hope that I don't need to spend any more time on that, okay? I'm going to offer them a yearly portfolio review. Okay, notice what I didn't say, because words matter. I didn't say, an updated CMA. What the heck is a CMA? That sounds boring. That sounds expensive. What is that? Now, why am I using the word portfolio? Hey, it's time 1 year from the closing, every year to the day they die, I'm going to get an update in my calendar or on my CRM, time for their yearly portfolio review. And when I contact them, hey, it's time for the updated value of your portfolio. Why am I saying portfolio instead of your house? Does portfolio speak to one place or multiple places? Multiple. And so I want them to think like that. And I want them to picture having a portfolio. I want them to think about their mom who thinks they'd never be good enough. But look at me. I have a portfolio. And I'm telling them, guys, do you realize the average home in America last year increased by over $57,000? Do you realize that? Do you realize the average home in America has over $250,000 in equity? Did you know that? Do you know the average person doesn't realize what they can do with it? So now you reach out to them and you're like, hey, just want to give you an update on the value of your portfolio. You may not be aware, but if you took 38,000 of this and you put it into this multifamily over here, you could generate $1,300 a month in positive net income. And they're like, what? I could? Yeah. You just became more than a door knocker, a door opener. You just became someone who's actually giving them value, helping them build their portfolio, helping them do, and doesn't everyone want to invest in real estate, guys? Doesn't everyone? And even when they don't do it, the fact that you gave them the option, the fact that you're reaching out, it's just another touch, giving them an update, giving them, and you know what happens a lot of times in those cases too? Not only do some of them take it, now they buy another property, which who gets the commission on that? Okay, but a lot of times they're like, I have that, oh my God, we've actually been thinking about selling and moving into something else, or we've been doing contact. You see how this works? You got a lot of other things you can do. What if you created a quarterly reference report? And every quarter there's a reference report that comes out to them. And this time of the year they get, your number one most recommended snow remover people. And then in the spring it's here's the spring cleanup people. And here's the whatever. And it's just giving them value. What if you created branded money? We teach a thing with our people called the Core 100. It's 100 different businesses or industries you could be potentially networking with. Okay? And it was the number one way I built my business, by the way. Okay, Core 100. You guys can go on YouTube, put in Jared James Core 100. You can go watch it. It's the number one way I built my business. But it's 100 different businesses or industries you could potentially be networking with. And the stuff that comes from that is amazing. The referrals from people, all we think about is people at the closing table. And yet when people buy and sell, they're using more services, using more than in any other time in their life, right? And so why don't you create branded money? Monopoly money, JJ Bucks. That's Jared James, in case you're wondering. You're not actually going to do JJ Bucks. Whatever your thing is with your face on it, like a joke, right? And you're going to give them every year 50 JJ Bucks that they can use towards the Core 100 member of their choice. And now they're out there working with the handyman who actually does a $500 job, but there's 50 bucks taken off because of your JJ Bucks or your whatever you call yours. And now not only did they get value from what you just did from them, but now the law of reciprocation, that handyman wants to find business for you because you just gave them business. What if we did that? What if we did these kinds of things? And we were reaching out all throughout the year to remind them, hey, you got 50 JJ Bucks. Hey, you've got a gift card. Hey, you and the missus want to go out on a date? Like you've got babysitting coming. Hey, what if you did that? Do you think that they'd start liking hearing from you a little bit more than if you were just always reaching out asking for business? Think maybe just a smidge? For those of you that want to know how to do that, if you go on Facebook, I told you I'm going to give you nothing but free stuff today, okay? If you go on Facebook, we have a group that you can join for free. It's called Jared James Coaching. We've got almost 19,000 agents from all over the world who don't post local listings nobody cares about. That's how you get banned from that group. It's all agents in there. They do nothing but network, mastermind, help each other, give referrals. But if you go into that group, Jared James Coaching, type it in on Facebook. It's a group. You go into the search in that group, and you type in client loyalty. You will see thread after thread after thread of other agents that have built their client loyalty program, and you'll see the kinds of things they put in it. A lot more options than I'm showing you here. You'll see examples of what their marketing for it looks like. Okay? What you do is you find the one you like, you save it, and then you go to either Fiverr, Fiverr, 2 R's, Fiverr.com, or you go to Upwork, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. You find a designer from some other country that for $10 within 24 hours is going to take what you send them, but put my branding on it, put my color on it, put my picture, within 24 hours, you have a client loyalty program. Or you can overthink it. Which one? See the difference? All of that's available to you guys. Okay, all of that. You want to know the ultimate way to fight against disruption is to actually just take care of the people in front of you. That's it. Take care of your clients. They're only able to exist because we're not doing our jobs. Really that simple. How many of you are married in here? Are you aware there's an app called Tinder? Are you worried about your spouse being on it? It's growing every day. Okay? Take care of your people. You don't got to worry about Tinder. Hopefully some of you didn't get that. Now that I'm taking it back. Next up. Okay, we've got to have a plan for consistent marketing. We're going to talk about listings in a second here, okay? Consistent marketing. Well, I know that we don't do that in our industry because we're really the ultimate multi-level marketing scheme. Everybody comes in, talks to their broker, talk to your friends and family, talk to your friends and family. I mean, we're freaking Amway, guys. That's what we are. We're Amway. Then we wonder why 87% of people fail in the first 5 years. Because we have no other strategy than talk to your friends and family. But you should talk to your friends and family. Duh. That's a big hashtag, duh. Okay? But that's not the only strategy, guys. Believe it or not, I say all the time, you can run a business or you can run around, right? You can run a business or you can run around. And I know you all went to real estate school, so you learned how to run a business. Sarcasm. Okay. Good. You learned how to be attorneys. And then you were told, don't discuss anything legal, you'll get sued. I know there's 43,560 square feet in an acre. Don't know why. Never thought about that until now. But, you don't learn anything about running a business, right? You just learn that every way that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Everyone's racist. Everyone's whatever. I mean, that's the new training. That's what it is now. Like, it's crazy. But ultimately, we want to run businesses, right? You run a business or you run around. One of the two. That's what we're looking at. And marketing dollars are part of running a business. Having a budget to promote your business, you go, well, that's expensive. Guys, the only thing more expensive than consistent marketing is being invisible. You want to say that again? The only thing more expensive than consistent marketing is being invisible. That's expensive. Ooh, that's expensive. Well, I can't afford marketing. Well, you seem to go out to eat twice or 2 or 3 times a week. Got a lot of new shoes, the newer car, that's the newer priorities, guys. If you're in this room and you tell me, I can't afford coaching, I can't afford marketing, I hope someone carpooled with you, You're not driving a newer car and newer, whatever, priorities, guys. The number one investment you will always make is in yourself. Okay, there's a big difference between investment and spending. A bad investment will outperform a good spend every day of the week. You guys got that? Bad investment will outperform a good spend every day of the week because investing is always better than spending. You guys realize those are 2 different things, right? Investing and spending. How many of you know you do way too much spending? Okay? And by the way, there's part of that that's okay now. There was a day, I told my kids the other day, anytime we don't want to make something, whatever, we just go out to eat. And I'm like, do you guys understand how freaking lucky you are that I'm just I don't want to make anything, let's just go out to eat. Let's just order something. When I was a kid, it was like a deal. I never had an appetizer until I was an adult. I didn't know you were supposed to be full by the time the food came out until I became an adult. That was a new idea to me, My kids are just, like King George. They just, whatever, whatever. But, boy, did I have a period of my life where I earned that. You see what I'm saying? I can do that now. But not at the expense of what I should be spending and what I should be investing in. Because I spent a lot of years of my life investing and not spending. I spent a lot of years of my life foregoing all of the things that are supposed to make me look successful and supposed to make me, okay, I gave up a lot of years so that I could be able to do that. You can't skip seasons in your life. You can't skip them, okay? I knew when I was a young kid that I was going to be a good dad someday. I didn't do it when I was 10 and a half. I needed to go through some seasons first. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of you, yeah, you're going to be amazingly good givers to other people, and you're going to be great savers, and you're going to be great whatever, but you can't skip seasons. There was an investment period. Does that make sense? There's a season where you need to invest and stop spending so much money on crap that you'll never see again. And again, I know the society we live in. I know you won't look as cool on Instagram. I get it. But at the end of the day, guess who wins? You see what I'm saying? Guess who? I was talking to 2 kids the other day. They're in high school. And one of them is just a party hardy and doesn't do his stuff, and the other one's I'm like a nerd. He goes, I do my stuff, whatever. I don't want to let my parents down. I don't want to whatever. And I said, dude, guess what? He's going to work for you one day. Here's something that every kid should know. Don't peak in high school. I just had a high school reunion. There was a lot of peakers in high school. Holy crap. I'm just looking around like, what is, I feel like we all could get discounts at a movie theater right now. Like this is a lot of peakers in high school. You know what I'm saying? Don't peak in high school. Like, do what you have to do today so that you can do whatever the hell you want later on. Does that make sense? Okay, we'll put that on a t-shirt or something. Just don't put my name to that one. Okay. So let's talk about some stuff here, guys. There's 3 ways that we create business. 3 ways. You can wait for it, you can pay for it, or you can make it happen. Now, a lot of you can be like, I don't pay for leads. This one always cracks me up, too. Like, whenever I say leads, people get all offended. And they're like, it's not leads, they're people. I had a lady at an event like 3 months ago. I've had so much fun telling this story since then, but I said that, and I could see her get upset, and I'm like, oh, God. And then afterwards, we did like a meet and greet, and come over, say hello, take a picture, do the whole thing. And most people have social skills, and you smile, you do your thing, like whatever. And I could tell she did not have these same social skills because she's just in the line, like she can't wait her turn. And she finally gets her turn, and she walks up, and I'm like, hey, how are you today? And she doesn't even say hello. She says, I just need to tell you, they're not leads, they're people. And I'm like, well, ma'am, they're called leads because they can lead to a transaction. That's why we call them leads. We're not dehumanizing them or anything. And then she's like, well, you just need to, that's not the right, whatever. And I thought to myself when I was talking to her, I didn't say this, but I thought it. I thought to myself, my God, you must be a pleasure to be married to. Like you, oh, and I thought the hell out of it, guys. I mean, I thought it so hard. Like I was trying to transmit it over to her because I wanted to say it so bad, so bad. Can you imagine living in her world? Just problems everywhere. Everyone offends her. Everyone, can you imagine? I started feeling bad. I was like, oh my God, your world must, I got a little taste of it for a second. I said, oh my God. Called leads because they can lead to a transaction. And for some of you in here, you're like, I don't pay for leads. Yes, you do. Everyone pays for leads. You pay with time, you pay with money. You're paying with one of the two. Okay? Oh, but offline, those internet leads. They're not internet leads, guys. They're people. Literally people. They're just people that 15 years ago would have been a referral, but now they go on their phone like everyone else. You see what I'm saying? Just people, right? So these are the 3 ways you can do it. So let's talk about a bunch of different things we can do here to create listings. Guys, I'm going to rapid fire you right now. You guys ready? Don't worry, I'm just talking to myself, guys. This far in, I've lost you already? Are we good? Okay, is this everyone's first live event? We forgot how to be an audience? You guys ready? You guys ready to rapid fire? Okay. Like I said, you're going to get all these slides, okay? So I'm not only going to give you these slides, but at the end I'm going to give you an email you can send to. I'm going to send you some videos that will go over and train how to do some various things. Like I'm really going to try to give you as much as possible. Some of the dialogues I use, some of the scripts I use, as far as the right words to use. Some of you are like, I'm not scripted. I don't believe in it. Great. The quality of your answers, will always be determined by the quality of the questions you ask. Okay, so I'm not talking about being scripted where it's like, you say this, they say this, you say this, they say this. But the words you use do matter, right? We said portfolio, not CMA. Words matter, okay? So I'm going to give you all that for free. Number one, the first thing we need to make sure we do is that we have a strong call to action, okay? Some kind of a call to, a compelling. Having your phone number on something is not a compelling call to action, okay? When you look at things like you guys seen these things? Guaranteed sale. Sell it in 30 days or I'll buy it. A lot of you are like, oh, that's bull crap. Oh, they don't, whatever. Yeah, and they're usually the top agents in the area. Okay? And so all this is, by the way, when you have something like this, visibility trumps ability. It makes you an option. The way this program works, though, by the way, we personally coach the #1 agent in the country for RE/MAX who wasn't before, and he kills it with these call to actions because it puts them in front of people. Okay? And so guaranteed sale program has a lot of stipulations, right? It says, yeah, we'll buy it in 30 days if it doesn't sell, but you're going to list it at this price that I want. You're going to lower the price every week as I want. You're going to do boop, 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 boop. And all. By the way, if it didn't sell in 30 days, you'd want to buy it. So when you go in and you tell them this is how it works, we can absolutely do that. But here's the stipulations. Do you know which one they always go with? Traditional sale. They're like, yeah, I got in the door for guaranteed sale, but the truth is I'm going to use traditional. Well, which one do you want? So the guy I'm talking about who's #1 in the country, he's sold thousands of homes using that program. Thousands of homes. S on professional speaker. Thousands of homes. Do you know how many people have taken advantage of and actually used the guaranteed sale program? Not one. Not one. markets it like crazy, gets calls like crazy. And he goes in, awesome, here's the guaranteed sale program, here's how it works, here's whatever, here's the traditional program, which one do you want? Not one has taken it. Okay, what about things like instant offer? This is interesting to me. You know, a recent study showed that 93% of all sellers would like to see an instant offer, and yet less than 1% actually take it. Nope. So what happens is we get pissed off at places like Zillow. Oh my God, they're just doing an instant offer and nobody even, and then they sell those seller leads back to us. What do we say about competition, guys? What does it do? It eliminates or makes you better? So how many of you right now have a marketed, like created instant offer program that you're marketing to your area? This thing must have gone off. Is Mike still working? 93% of sellers said they want it. Not one of you just raised your hand. You know what's sad? If I went into any one of your markets, I would dominate you. The truth. Because of what I just said. I would get in front of your people first. You're like, but I don't have the money to be giving them an instant offer. That's a great winner mentality. I just want to point that out. Always a way. Go to your local REIA, R-E-I-A, Real Estate Investor Association. You know all those cash offers on properties, guys, that aren't really cash? They're lines of credit through hard money lenders, right? Why wouldn't you go to your local REIA? They meet every month. Why wouldn't you go there and go make agreements with 3 to 5 investors? Say, hey, what I do is I've got a program. I bring in a lot of properties. You know, we offer instant offers. If I make you one of my preferred investors I work with, can you promise me whenever I bring you a property that within 24 hours you'll make an offer? They're like, absolutely. They know they've got to make a lot of offers to get one accepted. You've now got an instant offer program that you can market to the area that no one else in here is doing. When 93% of sellers want it, less than 1% ever use it. So that means you're first, you get in front of them first, and then who are they listing with? Who are they listing with? You. See how easy that is? Or you can sit back and just hope to God your phone rings, which is what most of us are doing. Guys, I was #1 in the country, not because I changed into a cape in a phone booth somewhere. For you youngins, that was a Superman reference. I don't know how they make Supermans anymore because how's he changing? I don't get it, right? You guys remember that? The telephone booth, he'd go in and, oh my God, no one knows that it's him because he took his glasses off. Real believable. But it was because I thought like this. It wasn't because of some supernatural whatever. It's just I think like this. Like you just got to get in front of them. Visibility, 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 right? So instant offer. Certified pre-owned homes. Any of you doing this right now? Of course you're not. I'm really a nice guy, guys. I'm just playing around. You'll see afterwards. It's all fun. So we do this with all of our students right now. You ever seen you go to a car dealership? Certified pre-owned, Toyota. You will not look at a used car unless it's a certified pre-owned. So why don't you have this in your marketplace? Why don't you have a certified pre-owned home, which separates you from everybody? So all you do is pretty simple, guys. #1, all of your properties you list, you're going to make a deal with an inspector. They're already going to have an inspection done. And that inspection is going to be available to anybody that wants to see it. And because you're doing it on all your properties, what's going to happen is you're going to make a deal with the inspector at half price. Okay? And so now every home is going to come with an inspection report. And anything major that needed to be done is going to be done already because it's going to get brought up. Right? I'm going to get a 1-year home warranty that I'm going to purchase for every single one of my homes. Now I have a certified pre-owned home. Comes with an inspection report already ready. Comes with a 1-year home warranty for you. And I branded it certified pre-owned. And it looks different than nobody else is doing it. And now people are like, what's that? Well, I want that for my house. And now buyers are attracted to it too because they're like, well, wait a second, like, has this house been certified pre-owned? Imagine when you're done with that listing appointment and you say how a house should never be sold without certified pre-owned. And then they go to the next person. They're like, do you have certified pre-owned? And they're like, come again? What are you talking about? Now they look stupid. See how that works? Just, it's all part of branding, guys. It's all part of, every one of you in here can do this. Go into our Facebook group, Jared James Coaching, type in the search, CPO, certified pre-owned, or type in certified pre-owned, CPO or certified pre-owned. You will see example after example after example of what agents are doing all over the world with this. Go steal it, bring it to Fiverr, bring it to Upwork. Within 24 hours, what do you have? Certified pre-owned. Now you can go take that marketing, create a Facebook ad, Instagram ad, promote it to your area, start mailing that out to areas, start like visibility. You guys see how that works? Yes? Are you asleep or are you just intense right now? Intense. All right, good. That's the answer I'm looking for. I saw one guy falling asleep. It's all right. I have that effect sometimes. Talk about some other stuff. How about social posts? Talk about this a little bit. Okay. These need to be updated. They still say 2021, but it doesn't matter. When you put out a post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, one of these places, simply post this, right? We want to find sellers. We're going to post something like, hey, let's get real about the 2022, not 2021. After sitting at home for almost 2 years, what are 3 non-negotiables your next house has to have that your current one doesn't? People love to answer those questions. And you know what's going to happen with the algorithm? Because the algorithm on Facebook and Instagram no longer reacts to likes. It no longer reacts to hearts, and it reacts to comments, okay? So you're going to get a bunch of jokers on there that are like, my next one's not going to have my spouse, and they're going to say things like that. But every time they do that, that's activating the algorithm, and it's showing to more people, and and then you're going to get some serious people that are like, well, we're actually thinking of it. My next one's going to have blank, blank, blank. My next one's going to have, and what are you going to create? Right? Guys, this will create hundreds of comments. Watch. It always shocks me. People post in our group all the time, oh my God, I did so-and-so. It actually works. I don't know whether to be offended. Like, what do you think I'm doing up here? What do you think this is? You know, or whether to be happy for them. I'm not going to lie, I'm torn. Okay, I'm really torn. Here's another one. Doing a little research on a scale of 1 to 10. How likely would you be to sell your current home if I was able to find you the right buyer at the right price? Now people are in there going 5, 6, 10, 9. What do you think you need to do with those higher? Yep. Now, you could do that on your regular Facebook, your regular Instagram, but you could also put it on your business page on Facebook and promote it. So now it's going out to your area with people who have never heard of you before, but they're answering. And they're thinking of selling. Any of the light bulbs going off for any of you guys right now? Like, you see how this works? It's not that difficult. You just got to do something, right? Talk about some more ones here. We're going to skip those. I can't even see them. How many of you are on Instagram? How many of you follow me on Instagram? I'm just really curious here, just real quick. The rest of you are dead to me. Just want to be clear. Okay, how many of you are on Instagram? I was only half kidding, guys. Okay, so you know how stories. By the way, guys, stories, you know stories, not like regular posts, but for those of you on social, the stories, the circles at the top, that is the #1 view in all of social, the whole internet. Do you know why? It's the last place on the internet that has nothing to do with an algorithm. Every single view that you got on a story is someone who took their finger and went, I want to see what you have to say. There's no algorithm. Like, when I post a video on YouTube, a certain amount of you see it, a certain amount of you don't. When I post on Instagram, a certain amount of you see it, a certain amount of you don't, right? Like, I think I've, I don't know, someone can tell me. I think I have 25,000 followers on Instagram. 25,000 people do not see it when I post. Like, a very small percentage actually see it. But the people who see it, it's according to an algorithm. They may see it, they may not see it. They may see the video, they may not see the video. Stories at the top, every single view is someone that went, I want to hear it. Does that make sense? One of the #1 ways to use Instagram right now with stories, and Instagram is pushing this right now, is asking questions and polls. Have you guys seen, for those of you that follow me on Instagram, have you seen what I did yesterday? I was sitting at the bar having dinner over here, and I said, hey guys, got an event, whatever, I got some downtime here, ask me anything. And then when I start answering those questions and I post the questions on my stories, my views like triple and quadruple. Because everyone wants to hear the answers to the questions. So there are certain things that get people that they're like, I want to hear this, I want whatever. Polls are one of those things. When you put up a poll, here's the really cool thing. You can put a poll like this. How many of you have had thoughts of selling in the next 12 months? People start answering, yes or no. Here's the beauty. When you're on regular social and you're putting on your normal feed, you know, your normal post, and you keep putting the same crap no one wants to see, here's my new listing at Nobody Cares Street, and you just keep doing it every day and every week, people just block you. They're just like, no thanks, don't want to see you anymore, it's not what I came on here for. The beauty of stories is they're gone in how long? 24 hours, they're gone. You could do it every day. You do it 4 times a week. But when people answer and they say yes or no, when you go to that story and you swipe up, guess what it shows you? Who answered yes or no. So now you put it up, and guys, here's a perfect example. When we were doing, not last year, but the year before, when we did our Jared James Advance, we had to do it virtually. So I went and I rented out a mega church and basically did it all virtually and broadcast it out to everybody. But when we were selling tickets, I would almost every other day, for those of you that follow me, you know this, almost every other day I would put up some kind of a poll and I'd say, who's on the fence about getting a ticket but just hasn't gotten off the fence yet? Who's on, and I asked these kind of questions. Every day we would get hundreds of yeses. And every day I would take those yeses, I would give them to my sales team. We'd create some kind of a promotion. We'd reach out to these people and go, hey, you're on the fence, special promotion if you buy today. And we sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tickets. You don't need hundreds of responses. If you put up a story, how many average views do you guys get on your stories on Instagram? What's like a normal, someone just tell me, what do you get? 200? Cool. You get 200 people, and you get 14 that vote, and 12 say no and 2 say yes. You just created 2 seller leads. How much are 2 seller leads worth? Now you do that 5 times a week. You do that and watch what happens. Nothing gets reaction like this. Like I was just at a Triple Play in Atlantic City, the dirtier Vegas, and it's disgusting. I was just being, it's disgusting. Hookers and drugs every 5 feet. Not a fan. Love being at the conference, by the way, for anybody who was there. Love being there. Love being there with you guys. Dirty city. So here we are at this conference, right? And I told the audience, you need to be doing this. Like this is like you need to. The next day, so I did the opening keynote, and then the next day I did another session, right? People were coming up to me before and, holy crap, look at this. I got 18 yeses. Oh my God. Whoa. Like, again, shocked. Don't know how to take that. But they implemented, and what happened? Or again, what can you do? You can overthink it. Now you're in this room and you're like, but I don't know how to do that. I don't. Find a 13-year-old. You'll be just fine. Wait until you see how easy it is. Well, I just didn't grow up with social. Guys, I didn't grow up driving. Figured it out. I think we can figure it out, right? If you're smart enough to be in this room, if you're smart enough to make it in real estate, you're plenty smart. Stop the excuses. You're plenty smart. Okay? That old narrative, I didn't grow up, I didn't, whatever. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. In every situation there, you lose. Okay? Those are all narratives that you don't need to hold on to. You're plenty smart. Next one. Okay, we do our marketing, right? Because by the way, do you know that when you have a listing or you have a whatever and you send out like postcards, you know it still works? Because people love to hear about their neighbor's property. But here's what we need to stop doing. Can you guys stop creating the FSBO market? For God's sake. You're like, what are you talking about? Sending out your postcards, sending out your social statuses with, sold in less than 24 hours with 57 offers and 31% over asking. Every single potential seller sees that and goes, and why the hell do I need you? You are creating the FSBO market. You're like, what's the FSBO? For any of you new, that's FSBO, fastest and shortest business opportunity, for sale by owner. You're creating the FSBO market. Stop it. Now, for some of you, that was just an epiphany. You're like, oh, crap, what have I done? Okay? Just knock it off, guys. That's ego marketing. It's hurting you. Okay? What you want to do is you want to do something and give yourself credit. So you're going to say, and you need to have, don't worry, guys. Like I said, COVID 2 weeks ago, negative now, just lingering cough. No one's going to die. It's just the world we live in now, guys. I mean, it's just, holy crap. I mean, you sneeze, it's just, everybody goes crazy. The cough has become the modern day fart. It's like everybody's just like, you cough in a public place and everybody looks at you like, okay? Okay. So here we go. Just sold, right? You want to make sure you have a call to action too. So you're going to say, hey, just sold was able to generate, meaning credit, was able to generate enough interest to create multiple offers and negotiate a sales price above asking. Did you know that the sale of this house may have changed the value of yours? See what we just did? Call to action. I'm not looking for the 49 no's who aren't looking to sell. I'm looking for that one. Guys, statistically, whenever a listing goes on the market, within 30 days, another one does. Within 6 months, 2 to 3 more do. I'm looking for the 1. Did you know? And this is called Communication 101. Communication 101 says that it's not what I say that matters, it's what people hear. So for that person I'm looking for, I'm not sending it out, and I didn't say your value went up. I said this may have changed the value of your property. What did they hear? They heard their value went. I didn't say that. I did not say that. But I have to have a strong call to action. I've got to give myself credit. What I can't do is be creating the FSBO market. Does that make sense? Okay. Next one. Oh, here's a good one. Unlike all that crap I covered so far. Here's a good one. So a lot of you, when you close with a client, right, don't you post something on social? Congratulations to my buyer and seller. You guys, is that true? Okay, so I'm going to tell you step by step how to actually make that work. Okay? Now those posts, if you do it correctly, are extremely effective because you ever notice that things like home sales, things like new babies, things like engagements, things like whatever get a ton of interaction? You ever notice that? Because of the algorithm. There are certain words that trigger the algorithm. One of them is congrats or congratulations, right? So if you ever want one of your posts to really do well, just go and type in your own comments, congratulations, and watch what happens. Kidding, not kidding, okay? So what you want to do, this is very step by step, okay? So very specific. If you don't do it this way, it doesn't work the same. So first off, when you do that congratulations post, you need to be in the picture, okay? So you've got them here and you're in the picture, okay? And you're going to write something nice and be like, congratulations to my buyer, to my seller, you know, whatever. They were absolutely amazing to work with. I'm so happy for you guys. And then I'm going to stop with a closed, call to action, okay? And I'm going to say something like, this means I have room for one more seller. Who do you know? Now, follow now. When I first post that, my hope is that they're going to repost it, because who am I trying to get in front of? Their people. And if it gets in front of their people, how much engagement is it going to get? A lot. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to post it on closing day and then tag them right away. You know why? Because it's the third most stressful time in their life. Death, divorce, and moving. And they're at the closing day going, they didn't sweep clean it like they should have, and why were the taxes more than what the lender told me they were going to, I'm getting screwed. And they're having all these emotions. And they may not see your post. If they see it and they reshare it, awesome. It's what we wanted. But we're not going to count on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to post that. Are we in the picture or not in the picture? In the picture. Give them credit, and then what do we end with? Call to action. Hey, this means I've got room for one more seller. Who do you know? I'm going to wait 3 days. I'm going to wait till 3 days after the closing. And if they haven't shared it yet, now I'm going to go into the post and tag them. Because now it's going to bump to the front of and now they're going to see it, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to share it. And when they share it, it's going to have hundreds and hundreds of comments, and thousands of their friends are going to see me with my arms around them saying great things about their friend, and then ending with, hey, this means I have room for one more. Who do we know? See how that works? Ultimate visibility. You know how much that costs? Nothing. But you see how it's got to be very specific? Step by step. You don't just throw something up and then go, oh, hope it works. You need them to show you it's very specific how you do it. Okay, good? I hope you guys are getting the difference now between just kind of going through the motions, oh, I do that, I do whatever, and how specific it is to actually get the results you want. Is that coming through? You guys good? Okay. I'm not going to talk about this one. We already talked about it. Value of the portfolio. I don't need to say it again, right? So next one. This is a good one. This is a good one. Google Earth. Okay. How many of you have people in your database who are not past clients, meaning they've never bought and sold anything? Okay. Here's what you're going to do. This is very step by step again. You guys ready? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to take those people from your database that you do not know, not that you don't know, that you didn't sell to, that were not clients, whatever it is. You're going to take 5 of them a day, and you're going to do 5 CMAs a day, but I'm going to explain how you're going to do it and how you're going to make it work, and it's going to be 1-to-1, okay? So you're going to take 5 people from your database every single day. And what you're going to do for that CMA, what you're going to do for that valuation is you're going to do Google Earth, okay? Now, how many of you have never heard of Google Earth? Okay? Here's how this works. Google Earth is a software that is free, that when you go and you Google it, it is going to do an overhead of, like a satellite view, of whatever address you put in. And you can zoom in, and you can move it around, and you can all of these things. So all you're going to do is you're going to go to Google, you're going to type in Google Earth, and guess what's going to show up? Any guesses? Google Earth. You're going to click on the result that says Google Earth, and there's going to be a little button that says Launch Google Earth. Guess what? Clicking on that button, okay? Going to open Google Earth, and now it's going to ask you for what address. You're going to type in an address. Now what you're going to do is you're going to use either BombBomb, or you're going to use Zoom, or you're going to use one of these things where you're able to screen share. Have you guys seen this? Right, where you can screen share and show your screen, and you can record it. Have you guys seen this? Where you screen share, you record it, and when you do that, you're going to be in the little box in the bottom. But the screen that you're showing is what's going to be recording. Does that make sense? What you're going to do is 5 people a day, you're going to type in their address, and you're going to do a video over their house. And you're going to be talking about their house and what's happened and what the value is looking like and all this kind of stuff. But the whole video is going to be over their house. And you do it with 5 people a day. And then you're going to send it out to them. Now, what do you think? Do you think the odds go up or down when people see a video over their house? What do you think? It goes way up. And you're going to do it with 5 people a day. I did this when we first launched this. I taught our coaches to do this because we always kind of a guinea pig with them, and then we launch it to our students, right? One of our coaches started doing it. She sent me a message. She had been doing it for 10 days. 10 days, she did 5 people a day. She sent me a message, and she said, Jared, I feel like an idiot. She goes, why have I not been doing this all this time? She goes, I've been doing this 10 days. I've had 3 listings, and I'm going on 2 more listing appointments just from doing this. 5 a day. It's so personal. It's so, you see how that works? You're not going to learn that in real estate school, okay? Just another way to separate yourself. People react to video, but even more so, they react to videos of their own property. Make sense? Let's move on. I'm not going to cover that one right now. It's pretty simple, but all right. Number 1 way we create sellers. Number 1 way we create listings. You know what it is? Buyers. That thing that all of you are avoiding. I don't want buyers. They're so annoying. They're so... Number 1 way you get sellers is buyers. Why? Because you got to have the cheese to catch the mice. You got to have chum to get sharks. Unless you're the soul surfer. And then apparently they still show up. You got to have buyers to get sellers. But how do we leverage them? So here's what we do. Guys, these letters right here. I'm not sure why it says 1 and 1. Someone will get fired for sure. Not sure what that is. But these right here, these letters I'm gonna talk to you about right now, at the end when I give you that email you can send to, and I'll send you the slides, and I'm going to send you all of these templates. You're going to get them, so you don't need to write down what I'm saying, okay? So first one, buyer neighborhood letter. We said before that when a listing comes on the market, within 30 days, what happens? Another listing hits the market, right? How many of you have ever showed an area and they didn't buy the house? Not a trick question, guys. Just looking for participation. Okay? Yes? We've done that. Okay. It's an opportunity. Every action deserves a reaction. If you showed that neighborhood, it means what's going to happen in that neighborhood in the next 30 days. And what do you have an active? You have an active buyer. What does the next seller want? Buyer, right? So this letter goes out to the neighborhood, to the nearest 50, 100 houses, whatever it's like in your area. By the way, how do you send it out? You get the cheapest way is to do USPS.com, United States Postal Service, beacon of efficiency. Everything run by the government because they have so much competition. So USPS.com, right? And then there's a thing called EDDM, Every Door Direct Mail, EDDM, Every Door Direct Mail. They let you pick areas by mailing routes. So in other words, you can pick that route where it's at with no postage, no anything, much cheaper, and you can send to that area, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to send out this buyer neighborhood letter, and I forget exactly what it says, but it says something like, hey, so-and-so, I showed your neighbor's property over at blank the other day. Why am I starting with that? Do they care about you? Nope. Do they care about their neighbor's property? Yep. Showed your neighbor's property over at blank the other day. As I'm sure you're not surprised, they absolutely love the neighborhood, but unfortunately the house wasn't for them. What they're looking for is, and you describe every house in that neighborhood, okay? They're looking for is blank. Due to the low inventory, been unable to find them anything, but I'm fully committed to doing it. Can you do me a favor? If you or anyone you know is even considering selling, can you let me know right away? I may be able to sell their house without it ever even hitting the market. See, that's called COVID-style language. That verbiage that I just used, we're going to say over and over and over again in our prospecting. Can you do me a favor? If you or anyone you know is even considering selling, can you please let me know right away? I may be able to sell their house without ever even hitting the market. Now, guys, am I struggling when I say that? No, because I'm a pro. I practice. I practice. If you're not practicing, if you can't just roll things off like that, you're an amateur. Amateur. And you can't expect to get paid like a pro if you're acting like an amateur. Okay? So that verbiage, I'm going to use that when I'm calling. I'm going to use that when I'm mailing. That verbiage is so powerful. You or anyone you know is even considering selling, please let me know right away. I may be able to sell your home without it ever even hitting the market. So powerful. Someone said to me, guys, real estate, by the way, is really about a few things. Real estate is about saying the right thing to the right people at the right time and saying it enough times. That's how you win in real estate. Anybody new in here? There you go. Winning 101. Say the right thing at the right time to the right people. Say it enough times. You win. Period. Doesn't matter that you've already said it 50 times that day. A friend of mine said, especially when I get really busy and I'm traveling all over the place, when I come back, I'll go have a beer with a friend or whatever, and they're like, dude, don't you ever get tired of saying the same thing? I'm like, well, to be fair, I don't say the same thing. But he's like, but you're delivering, like when you're delivering the same topic 6 times in 5 days. Doesn't it get? And I said, you know what? Here's what's interesting, and I really do think like this. When I get in front of an audience, I don't think like that. I don't think to myself, this is the 1,000th time I've done this. You know what I think to myself? I think it's the first time you've heard it. All that matters. And so when we're talking about saying the right things at the right time to the right people and saying it, it doesn't matter how many times you've said. By the way, if you know anybody looking, no matter how many times you said, you know anybody looking to buy or sell, please let me know. I may be able to. Doesn't matter. First time they've heard it. Use that verbiage over and over, and you'll win every day. You'll win every day. Like your goal should be, how many times can I say this to people, right? So you got buyer neighborhood letter. That goes out. What about, how many of you ever made an offer and it wasn't accepted? If not, you are brand new. Like you probably haven't taken the test yet. It's coming. It is coming. Right, guys? Am I right? Woo! I saw a thing the other day. The average buyer's agent has made 4.2 offers before something's accepted. Am I the only one that went, that's it? 4.2? What? That seems awfully low. Like, wow, that hasn't been my experience with. You make an offer. That means they love that area, correct? They made an offer. That means what's coming up in the next 30 days. This house is listed. So now I've got a buyer's offer not accepted letter that goes out, and it says, hey, so-and-so, just want to let you know my buyers recently saw your neighbor's property over at blank. Unfortunately, they made an offer that wasn't accepted due to the low inventory, and I'm going through the whole thing. As I'm sure you're not surprised, they absolutely love this area. They'd love to get into this neighborhood. If you or anyone you know is even considering selling, can you please let me know right away? I may be able to sell your house without ever even hitting the market. I can't guarantee they'll buy your property, but I can guarantee I'll bring it to their attention. What happens if you do that every single time in every neighborhood you're going into? How many more listings would you have? Guys, success in real estate is not brain science. It's just consistency. You know what I know about consistency? Consistency is undefeated. I'm going to put that on Twitter later. I think I've ever said that before. Somebody send me a message. Somebody on Instagram or something, DM me. That's direct message if you're 40 or above. I just turned 40, so I can make those jokes. I can make those jokes. I just turned 40. I just turned 40. Those jokes are on the table now. I did have someone say to me recently, what's a dumma? A DM. They said, what's a dumma? I was like, come again? Someone sent me a direct message on Instagram. Consistency is undefeated. It's the truth. Consistency is undefeated. It's not about doing every single thing you hear today. Pick a few things. Pick a few things. A lot of these things I'm talking about right now, by the way, when we're talking about buyer neighborhood letter, when we're talking about buyer's offer not accepted, when we're talking about these kinds of things, you could literally hire a virtual assistant for 4 hours a week at $10 an hour out of wherever. They have access to everything online. They have access to that you could literally, every time you showed a property, every time you send them the address and you go, buyer neighborhood letter. You send them the address and you go, buyer's offer not accepted. You send them the address and you go, new listing prospecting letter. It's another one we do that I didn't talk about yet. Imagine if you did that every single time you showed a neighborhood. What's your business look like? Any of your wheels turning? Again, guys, wasn't number one because I was the best in the whatever. Consistency's undefeated. That's it. Some of you are going to go back and overthink. Some of you are going to be like, holy crap, I'm doing that. Like, that's got it. From now on, that's what happens. because investment is part of business. Okay? Oh, that's real easy to see. Okay. Whoever made these slides are getting a talking to when I get back, just so everyone knows. Okay? I'm not even going to look and see if there's a spelling error, because I might lose my crap. Okay? Okay, so this right here is probably the #1 way to get sellers. Okay? This is another one I shot a video for recently, put it up on Instagram, put it up on YouTube. 4 of you saw it based on the hands earlier, so thank you. How many of you, when you have a listing, usually have some kind of a budget for that listing? You promote it somewhere, you put it in some kind of an ad, you do whatever. Like, show of hands real quick, okay? How many of you have a budget for your buyers? Okay? So what did we say earlier? Quickest way to underperform on your potential is what? Get romantic about what you always did. You're like, well, why would we have a budget for buyers? Nobody's ever done that. That's not whatever. Okay? What's the #1 way to get sellers? Buyers. So here's what you do. Every buyer you have, from now moving forward, post-COVID, whatever, every buyer, you're going to shoot this video. Okay? You're either going to hold your phone like this, or you're going to look at a camera. And let's say they're going to look in a certain area, whatever. And we're going to go, hey, everyone in so-and-so county, I've got a buyer looking in so-and-so school district. They're looking for a 3 to 4 bedroom, 1 to 2 bath, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot home due to the low inventory, but unable to find anything. But can you do me a favor? They're ready, willing, and able to go. If you or anyone you know is even considering selling, would you let me know right away? I may be able to sell their home without it ever hitting the market. See what I just did? Now that video that was just shot, okay, I'm going to put that on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Those are the 3. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm going to put a $20 budget on them. Now, you can't promote to zip codes anymore because that's discriminatory. It's also nonsense, but that's what it says. But I can still promote to cities. So I'm going to shoot that video. I'm going to promote it to my city with a $20 budget. What did we say earlier? You don't know how to promote on Facebook. You don't know how to promote on Instagram. You don't know how to promote on YouTube. Find a 12-year-old. They do. It's the truth. They do. $20. That is now going to go to your whole area. And people are going to start watching it, and watch what happens. All of a sudden, someone's going to tag their mom who is selling their house in that school district. And is like, oh my God, like, mom, they're looking at whatever. You're going to start getting DMs from people. We're thinking of it. Are they ready to buy? Like, whatever. Again, the line when you talk to them, or will they buy my house? I can't promise to buy your house, but I can promise I'll bring it to their attention. Right? Every single buyer shooting that video should get you a minimum of 2 listings. And I'm just making that number up. We do this with our students. Like, I've got the data. This is what they do. Every buyer. What does your business look like if every buyer you work with gets that video goes out? Now, here's the cool thing. Even when that video doesn't generate listings for you, here's what's really cool. Guess what it did? Branding. Constant branding. Constant branding. Who do they see all the time? Guys, there's 2 different forms of marketing. There's 2 purposes of marketing. Number 1 is direct call to action. Right? That's very simple. Put your information in, becomes a lead. That's direct call to action. Right? Now that's the one that all of us love. The only one we want, because we act like teenage boys trying to close on the first date. And again, I hope some of you don't get that. But the other form that is just as important is branding. Is your job not easier when you're a brand? Hey guys, when I first started doing this, every time I get in front of an audience, it was extremely difficult. Because it was like, they're like, is he introducing his dad? Like, what's going on right now? Okay? Most audiences I get in front of now, at least half, if not more, all familiar. They all follow online. They all can't wait to say hello. You know how much easier that is? It's like home crowd everywhere. That's branding. You know how much easier your job is going to be? Your market is not the world. Your market is how much easier that is. Every time you put that out there, in people's minds, they're going, oh yeah, that's the agent. Oh, that's the agent. Oh, they've always got buyers. Oh my God, when I'm looking to sell, that's the one. And when you go to appointments, they're like, are you going to do that for my property? And you work with a buyer. You see how this works? Branding, but what do you have to be? What's undefeated? Consistency. What did we say in the beginning? You're all busy. You're all busy, but I can see your faces while I'm talking right now. None of you are doing this stuff. So we're all busy, but what are we doing every day? What are we doing that actually matters? What are we doing that actually creates? What are we doing? So some of us have to look at it like what we're going to get rid of and we're going to replace these with. Okay? What infrastructure do we need for this to happen? I said virtual assistant, done. It's investment. What I say, a bad investment's better than a what? Good spend. It's all investment, guys. It's all a tax write-off too. That's the other thing, right? When you look at investing in yourself, when you look at investing in your infrastructure, when you look at investing in training and coaching, and you look at it, guys, it's all write-off, all a write-off. Okay, just running a business, very simple. Oh, here's a good one. Okay, so what I'm not going to cover with you guys today, because it's an utter waste of everybody's time, is expireds. Okay, if a property expires in today's market, there's not a previous, there's an active murder going on. Not even a previous. I don't think anyone would care, right? There is literally an active, someone's being stabbed to death. That's the only way, and even that might sell over asking. It might happen. But you know where there is an opportunity? Past expireds. This is the one nobody goes after. Here's what you're going to do, step by step. Go into your MLS. In your area, look up all the properties that expired in the last 2 to 5 years. Pull up all the properties that expired the last 2 to 5 years that did not get relisted or resold. Now, what's the number one reason those properties didn't sell? I mean, the seller's going to say because you didn't put it in the New York Times, it wasn't in the Wall Street Journal, that's why it didn't sell. But we all know the number one reason is what? Price. What's happened the last 2 to 5 years? A lot of those people don't even realize they can sell now. That they could probably get more than what they were trying to get previously. They don't even know they can. And you know who's nobody going after? These people. So one of the templates you're going to get for free is this template that goes out to these people. Last 2 to 5 years, did not relist or sell. And you're going to send them a very simple letter that basically says, hey, I know you tried to sell, whatever. There's a lot of reasons why a property doesn't sell, but if you're still looking to sell, you may be able to get the price that you want. It goes through all this nice verbiage and whatever. Okay? One of our students just sent this out. He looked up in his area how many properties applied to this. And it's not a ton of properties, guys. It's not a big market. I think he pulled 37 homes. Okay? He sent that letter to 37 homes. He listed 9 of them. Because there's no competition. Nothing. And the people are like, what price could I get? I do still want to move, but I just didn't think we could. Like, whatever. See what happens? So yeah, active expireds, waste of time right now. I'd be wasting your time teaching that. But previous 2 to 5 years, didn't release, you need to go. And if you're in this room and you're like, oh crap, there's other people in this room that are hearing this, and they're in my area. Let me tell you from experience, guys, don't worry. Don't worry. Take that how you want to. Just don't worry. Not many of you will act on it. Don't you worry. All right, I'm going to skip that whole point, and we're just going to get to my last point here, because you guys have big things to do. All right. Last point I want to make here before we close out. And guys, when we close out, I'm going to hang around. If anyone wants to say hello, shake hands, scold me on leads, whatever your thing is, I'm not catching a flight. So if you guys want to say hello, whatever, I'm going to hang out here afterwards, okay? The last point I want to make to you guys, which is, I know I've said this a couple times, most important point, but this one's right up there. It's my third point, so I guess they're all important. It says 4, but I skipped the whole one. How many of you have ever felt like there's just not enough hours in the day? How many felt like you do so much for other people and not for yourself? Like you just feel obligated, you do stuff for other people. Have you guys ever felt like that? Yay or nay? Okay, yay. So I got a DM on Instagram about 6 months ago, and they asked me a question, and they said, Jared, they said, I've followed you for years, and they're like, I'm inspired, I love following you, I love whatever, and they're like, but I just don't get it. They're like, how do you always have energy? They're like, you're running 4 companies, you're going all over the world, I see you at your kids' soccer games, I see you over, like, how in the world? Is it fake? Like, what do you do? Is it crack? Just tell me it's crack, I'll try it. Just tell me what it is. And I said, here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. I'm a natural introvert. A lot of entertainers, are natural introverts. By the way, Introvert doesn't mean you don't talk, you don't, everybody gets this mixed up, introvert, extrovert. That's not what it is. You know how you can tell if someone's an introvert or an extrovert? It's how they recharge, okay? Being in front of people, being around people, being whatever, drains me. How I recharge is I go back to my hotel room by myself. Other people get around people, they get on a big stage, and they are just jacked up. Extrovert, it fuels them. See what I'm saying? So I'm a natural introvert. My favorite place in the world is the hotel room. Alone. Computer open, game on in the background, little room service, nobody calling me, nobody talking to me, nobody nothing. Like, that's my favorite place in the world, right? And yet his idea was like, how do you have all this energy? Like, how is it always, whatever? Is it an act? Is it a whatever? No, none of that stuff. Whatever. I know how to flip the switch. I know that, nobody wants me to get up in front of you like Mr. Rogers. Like nobody's looking for Ben Stein from the Wonder Years. Okay, another example that 5 of you will get. By the way, for any prospective speakers, just make sure you use examples that apply to 8% of your audience. It's always a great idea. It really raises up the energy in the room. But I know that like, it's not an act. But he's like, well, how do you do it? Like, what's the deal? So I wrote him back, and I said, here's what I do, man. It's this right here. I've learned to build capacity. What does that mean? Look, you guys all know, if you don't have anything to give, you can't. This is common sense, right? But what we actually do on a regular basis matters, right? When you look at what I do, some of you, you said before you follow on Instagram and Facebook and all these places, you see that every day I post a thing, did you sweat today? Every day I do something to sweat. Every day I exercise, every day. And a lot of people are like, well, why do you do that? Well, there's really 2 reasons I do that. Number 1, I have 2 teenagers, and I want to still be able to dominate them. That is one. And that is a driving force. True story. One of them's eye to eye with me now. I'm not going to race him anymore because he's gotten very fast. But the second, and the real reason, is because I live an extremely stressful life. I have, one of my kids and their friends asked me the other day, they were like, Dad, one of them said Dad, the other ones are not my children. And he's like, Dad, what's it like being an entrepreneur? And they were expecting to be like, well, every day I pick out what color Lamborghini I'm going to go with, And I looked at them and I said, guys, every day I get punched in the face 50 times. And 4 good things happen. And I hope the 4 outweighs the 50. And I don't think they were as inspired as they were hoping with that answer. They're like, your dad's not like he is on YouTube. But that was the real answer. I live a stressful freaking life. Like, my life is just problems, 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 problems. Like, here's a little thing for all of you entrepreneurs in here, okay? You're never going to eliminate problems. All you do is create new problems. Okay, if you're in here and you're brand new 5 years ago and you're trying to figure out how to create a transaction, that's a problem. If it's 5 years later and you're still trying to figure that out, you probably suck at your job. The goal is 5 years ago trying to create a transaction. That's a problem. 5 years later, I need to be having hiring issues, and I need to be having I need new problems. Our goal is to create new problems. Problems never go away. Okay, so my life is just constant problems, problems. So it's like the waking up the president. Imagine being the president of the United States. Every day it's the president, problems, problems, every day, right? And so you guys, any of you have a stressful life? Any of you have a little bit, right? So I had a dream about 13, 14 years ago. And in this dream, do you realize, I forget the exact percent, but it's something like 67% of all disease is preventable. Did you realize that? It's somewhere like 65, 70% of all disease comes from stress and is completely preventable. So I had this dream about 13, 14 years ago, and in this dream, I got some disease. I don't remember what disease it was, but it was fatal. And you ever had a dream that just felt real? Like, your mind doesn't know the difference between conscious and subconscious. Like, it was real, right? Like, you ever been falling off a cliff in a dream, and then you wake up and it takes you a moment to realize all you've done is wet yourself and landed on the floor? Just so you know, guys, I don't really do that, okay? I never fall on the floor. No. So stupid I'm even saying that. I don't wet myself. So I had this thing, and it was real, though. It was absolutely real. Absolutely. And I'm just like, oh, my God. And then I wake up. And by the way, in the dream, I would have done anything to get rid of this. Like, I would have given anything. And I woke up, and I realized that it was a dream, a nightmare, really. I was just like, holy crap. Like, I thought that was it, whatever. And I made a decision that day that from that point on, I was going to live my life like I would have before the preventable disease. Okay? So when you see me doing every single day, doing did you sweat todays and those kind of things, it's because I have a stressful life. And if you're in real estate and you're not exercising, you are out of your freaking mind. Like, I'm just telling you. You're like, I don't have time. No, you're going to really not have time. Like, you're really not going to. And by the way, this is not a, you got to look like a Baywatch model. There are overweight people in here that are in better shape than thin people. It has nothing to do with it. But the idea that you're not giving yourself that stress relief, you're not giving yourself that time to think, you're not giving yourself, insanity. It's absolute insanity. And everything else I talk about today doesn't matter one bit if you don't get this down. That's it. Every day. You shower every day? Because everyone can see it. Okay? So why is it that we do things and we treat ourselves certain ways for things that everybody else sees, but the thing we could get away with, because it only involves ourselves, well, we're okay to leave that alone. See what I'm saying? So when you see me every single day doing Did You Sweat Todays, and you see me, on my stories, whatever, trying to eat right most days, and you see me not buying into this bull crap hustle culture. Oh, 22 hours a day. Do you know how utterly stupid that is? Do you know what happens to your body when you don't sleep? Do you realize how important sleep is? Like, do we actually understand? Oh, but you're a martyr for entrepreneurialism. I just hustle. No, you're killing yourself. Literally killing yourself. And by the way, a lot of the people you follow online that talked like that for years, I know most of them personally. They're not like that anymore. They've started learning the value of sleeping and eating correctly and working on your personal relationships and having downtime and taking a break and doing these. I know these are not real estate 101 things that you're used to hearing. You will never follow everything else that I'm talking about. You'll never be able, if you don't get this down. My job with you guys, again, for those of you that follow me online, my job is not just to tell you how to get a listing. See what I'm saying? Like, I try to be an example in all those areas. And I know, because I've got those people, that I stick with it. Even days you see me where you don't see me post #DidYouSweatToday, I still did it. Still did it. I just sometimes don't post it. Sometimes whatever. Because I have to. I have to do it. Because my life is stressful enough, there's enough things going on, that, man, if I got that real diagnosis that was preventable, what would I do at that moment to go back? What would I do? And here's the crazy thing. For most of you, you don't need to go back. You just need to do these little... I'm not saying, look, guys, I don't eat vegetables 7 days a week. I eat good like 5-6 days a week. And on the 7th day, it's not like I'm walking the Green Mile, eat whatever. I'm just not as crazy about it. Balance. You look at all these, I know everybody's on their new diet for the new year, that you'll be off in 2 months. Lose all this weight, it's not sustainable, it comes right back. Lifestyle. Like, I'm supposed to be the motivational guy. I go in my gym in January and I'm pissed off. I'm like, if you're not going to be here in 2 months, would you get off my pull-up bar, please? Like, you're messing up my groove here. Now, if you're going to stick around, awesome. And I want you to. But it's lifestyle, guys. It's lifestyle. It's not these far-reaching, you got to do this, which is never attainable to keep up with. It's just lifestyle. 5-6 days a week, I do pretty good, make good decisions. And then on 1 or 2, I come out with my boys and, we're getting whatever at the bar food, at the whatever. I don't beat myself up. I exercise every day. I do whatever, that's it. I make sure that I'm sleeping properly. I make sure, I've learned to build capacity. The reason I'm able to do as much as I do is because I build capacity. There's an old, it's so corny, but it's just true. There's an old saying that how far an arrow goes has very little to do with what happens it hits the air. It's the capacity that's created before it ever leaves the bow, right? That is the story of us. It's the story of us. You want to be able to do more, you want to have more energy, you got to build capacity. I'm doing it every single day. You can't fake it. It's going to catch up. You're going to be worn down. You're going to wake up every day in your bed and think to yourself, what do I have to do today to look like a functioning, non-lazy adult, but really get back to this position in my bed because I have no energy? And if you know someone like that, okay? It's reality, guys. It's reality. You got to build capacity, okay? I'm going to end with a couple of quick things here, guys. Whenever I do these things, there's always a bunch of different ways I can go, but one of my favorite messages is just basically letting you guys know a couple things. Number one, you look around this room, and I said some stuff where some of you are like, oh crap, they're here. They're my competition, okay? Your competition is actually not the people in this room. It's really not. Your competition is your overthinking, I'll do it tomorrow self. That's your competition. Do you know, so I said that I run right now the third largest coaching and training company. The person who runs the number one company, do you know that we talk on a regular basis? Like all the time. Like we were texting yesterday. Do you know that we help each other? Do you know that we encourage each other when he's doing his event, I'm doing mine, what's working, what's strategy? You know why we do that? We do that because we both think we're good for the industry. We do that because there's enough room for everyone. And you're in an industry, there's plenty of room for everyone. These people are not your competition. Your overthinking, wait till tomorrow self is your competition. That's what's going on. The only way you get something, how many of you heard like at least one thing today that you think you're like, I can do that? Like how many of you, and the rest of you, I apologize, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't know what to do. The only way you get anything is like right now you're in what I call the learn stage, right? You're learning, and it's cool, you're learning, it feels good. You're better than the people not here. You're learning. But growth doesn't come from the learning stage. It doesn't. You get what I call getting fat on sugar. Oh, more learning, more content, more learning. The only way you do anything is if you go from the learn stage to the screw-up stage. The screw-up stage is where every entrepreneur grows, right? I've been telling this story lately. I hadn't told it in like 10 years, but I'm telling it again. So when I first started doing video and such, I said to you guys before, now I've got 8 million views on YouTube. And sometimes people will watch and be like, I can't do YouTube because I'm going to mess up. I'm going to whatever. Do you know my first ever video on YouTube is so bad that I have it unlisted? Like, I mean, it's terrible. It's one of the worst pieces of crap you've ever seen in your life. Like, it's embarrassing, okay? My first ever video, I forget how long ago it was. I was actually going to show it at our last Jared James Advance. I was going to show it to everybody just to encourage everyone. And then I realized just how insecure I am that I still can't show it because it's so bad. It's like embarrassing, right? And so in this video, I'm actually in my RE/MAX office because I was still transitioning, right? And so I'm in my RE/MAX office, and I've got a shirt and tie on with the white T-shirt showing underneath up on my neck. That's a good look. And I set up the video. That's important to the story. I set the video up. I know it's there. And here's how the video starts, okay? Like, I start the video, and I'm like, well, hello there. And I look at the camera like as if, shocker, there's a camera. I just set the camera up. I know, so I don't know what this turn and hello thing was. That's what I did. I went on to tell this massive audience that you better hurry up and sign up for this training because there's only 1,000 spots. There's 1,000 spots, so you better hurry up. We're over a decade later. I'm pretty sure it's got about 119 views. 102 of them are probably me. I do the training. I'm pretty sure, by the way, if you got there late, you could have found a spot. There was 3 people on the training. My mom, my best friend, someone clearly lost. Like just, I mean, guys, it's a disaster. It's a disaster, okay? It's an absolute disaster. But what did I have to do? Had to screw up, had to start. I just had to start, right? And so when you look at all the things we talk about, and we look at all the things I'm saying, hey, you should try this, you should do this, you know, whatever, and for a lot of you, it's outside of your comfort. You're just like, I haven't done that. I don't, you know, whatever, right? Here's the thing. Yeah, are people in your area are you gonna make a video, and are they gonna be like, oh my God, can you believe she made that video? Oh my God, it's so stupid. She wasn't even looking at the lens. She was looking over here. And you know, did you see that sunlight? She barely, whatever. Can you believe that? Okay, while they're can you believing, guess what you're doing? You're moving forward. We live in a world right now where your library, your online content library matters. How people are finding you. Here's an interesting point. How many of you in the last 2 weeks have watched a video on YouTube? Put your hands up real quick. Okay. How many of you in the last 2 weeks have uploaded to your channel a YouTube video? Huh. Wow. We are acting as marketers differently than we're behaving as consumers. That's a problem. You guys get that? We're acting as marketers differently than we're behaving as consumers. Oh, I want to watch the video. It's the way I consume, but I would never give my people that option. So guess what? When you don't give them the option, guess who does? Someone else. When I started coming up in this business, when I first started, and nobody ever talks about that, but that was so tough because I went from being this super successful agent, making a ton of money, doing whatever, then all of a sudden I'm like, I guess I do this now, and I've got no following, I've got no students, I've got nothing. No brand, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I started doing that, and I told you I started a virtual program, I started putting out content, I started making videos on YouTube, like everything was available, I started doing. Might have even been on MySpace. And I'm just like, I'm going to put it out there, I'm going to put it out there. And at first it didn't catch, I'm not going to lie, it didn't catch at first. Didn't catch, whatever. And then something happened. And I started skyrocketing. And all of a sudden, these stages where I used to go to R4 and sit in the audience and watch people, I'm like, I'm on the main stage at R4? Like, what the crap? When are they going to figure out it's me? Like, this is, And I'm back. I remember vividly being backstage with one of the major people that a lot of you would know in this industry, somebody I idolized when I was coming up. And I'm backstage with them, and I couldn't wait. I wanted to go say hello. I was like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. I'm going to go say hello, right? So I go over to say hello, and as I'm walking over, he looks over and he goes, Jared James. And I was like, what the? Like, blew me away. I mean, I acted normal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fool. I acted normal. Played it like he should know. Well, good to see you. I was like, I don't know. But I'm blown away. I'm like, holy crap. And he says to me, he goes, hey, if you have a minute later, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah, cool, sure. But nothing over a minute, Busy guy. So we're talking backstage later, and he starts saying to me, he goes, I just got to know, man. He goes, where the hell did you come from? He goes, I'd never heard of you before. And he's like, now you're everywhere. He goes, you're taking all my events. I can't even get an event. Everybody's seeing if you're available first. And then they're coming around. He's like, I see how are you getting all these views? How are you, whatever? And he couldn't comprehend it. Super nice guy. Couldn't comprehend it. And I started explaining to him, the world has changed. You got to have a library. You got to have a content library. You got to give people the option to consume the way they want to consume. And he's like, well, I'm just an old guy. I don't really do things that way. I just don't know if I can whatever. And I remember saying this to him, and it was probably a little frank, and I was like, and then you're not going to be around in 5 years. So I said to him, I said it with a smile, but I'm like, you're not going to be around. It's just not how the world works anymore. And we stayed in touch and friendly and whatever, and he started making videos and he started doing whatever. But the point was, he was a much bigger brand than me. He's probably better than me. He had way more students. He had everything. I gave the consumer the option they wanted. If you're in this room, it doesn't matter if you're the best agent in here. The consumer doesn't care. They aren't going to do business the way that you want to do business just because you've been around. You guys have heard of the love languages before? Right? Like gifts, acts of service, words of affirmation, all these things, right? And basically, if you're in a relationship, it doesn't matter what yours is. If you don't give your partner the one they want, then they get upset, right? If you're with someone and their love language is gifts, and you keep saying, you look so good today, you whatever, she's like, would you just buy me something? Can you buy me something? Because your clients have love languages of communication, how they want to be communicated with. Some of them want you to call. Some of them want you to email. Some of them want you to text. Some of them want you to social DM. Some of them want you to send a video. And the way that you like doesn't matter. I had a guy, I was buying a very large thing recently, and he just kept calling me. I kept going, dude, you know what my voicemail says on my phone? It says it's 2022. Send me a text. I'm not answering my voicemails. Okay? Why don't you just send over a couple of red Solar Cups and a string? We're not doing this, okay? And I warned him, I said, dude, if you keep calling me, I'm going to go with someone else. I'm not getting those. Send me a text or something. I'm very busy. I'll respond when I can. Do not kept calling me. I went to someone else. He lost a lot of money. He's like, well, that's the way I do it, man. It doesn't matter. The consumer doesn't care the way you've always done it. If you're not asking your customer right up front, how do you want to be communicated with? And then making a note of that. And maybe you're not a phone caller, but they want phone. Guess what you do now? Phone call. Done. See how this works? Doesn't matter what you like. Doesn't matter. Who says that? Was it The Rock back in the day? It doesn't matter what you, whatever. I don't watch wrestling, guys. I've just seen it. Don't act like you haven't. Some superiority complex because I said some wrestling example. But it really doesn't matter though, guys. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make to you, I'm closing this right here. Point I'm trying to make to you guys, very simple. We only do anything, we only by leaving the learn stage and going to where? It was 10 minutes ago, guys. Screw up stage. Got to enter the screw up stage, right? And at the end of the day, all of our stuff, we look at how we run our businesses. I said to you, the quickest way to underperform in your potential is to get romantic about what? What got you here? How we did it, what we did, what got you here will not get you there. It's not how it works. What the consumer wants is all that matters at the end of the day. Does that make sense? Guys, I hope you'll take a chance here. You want the free stuff. You guys want the free stuff? I almost forget. Okay, see that email at the bottom right there? Yes, Y-E-S, at jaredjamestoday.com, not jaredjames.com. Guys, you don't even need to write it down. Just do it on your phone right now. Send an email to yes, Y-E-S, at jaredjamestoday.com. Yes, at jaredjamestoday.com. You're going to get an immediate email back. I don't even know what it says, I'll be honest. It's some kind of autoresponder. It'll be like, here's some good references for you, resources. I don't know what it says. That's not the email. Within 24 hours, maybe even later today, my team is going to send out an email to you guys that says, hey guys, here's the free training that Jared offered you. Does that make sense, guys? It's not the original one. You can look at that one. I'm sure it's good stuff. But you're going to get one that says, here's the free training that Jared offered you. That'll come within 24 hours. It's going to have a link to the slides. It's going to have any of the templates and scripts I talked about. It's going to have a page with training on it. It's going to have all that kind of stuff. Does that sound good, guys? If you get a chance, thank you. You get a chance, go to connectwithjared.com. Make it really easy. Connectwithjared.com. All my social profiles are there. I'm going to stick around and say hello to whoever wants to say hello, but you can always send me a message anytime, a direct message. I'll answer any questions. Say hello. Love to know who you guys are. You're within driving distance, so that's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you having me.